This young man was originally an invincible war god belonging to the Mist organization, someone who could personally defeat the Demon King, but Saiyan Vert always lived like a shadow working for his older brother. But he could never have imagined that the very older brother he had been loyal to for 20 years would ruthlessly stab him, leaving him lying in a pool of blood with extreme hatred. Saiyan used his last bit of strength to rush forward and try to punch the Afro guy in the mouth, and finally he returned to the past when he was still just a child, even regressing exactly 1 month to March, 3rd year 985 of the founding era 20 years ago. The National Duchy clan organizes a combat training session once a year. The Duchy always holds this training event. Saiyan's father, Duke Willius Vert, the Great Lord of Valius, a territory in the western part of the Usip Kingdom, would also participate, making it a grand event. Saiyan's opponent was Grand Vere, his half-brother sharing the same father but different mother. His mother was Margaret Ares, the Duke's wife, so Renz received a lot of attention. Although both Saiyan and he were the youngest sons in the family, Emily, Saiyan's personal maid who took care of him, now stood beside him and whispered anxiously into his ear, "Why don't you just give up?" "Ha! Even the maid despises me now," Saiyan thought silently, forcing a smile and replying, "It's okay, winning is what matters." Then slowly drew his sword, but it felt strange. "Just a sword, so why is it so heavy? My strength is still the same as before." This feeling is neither a dream nor an illusion. Before dying, I had never heard of any spell that could cause such a strong hallucination. Seeing Saiyan standing absent-mindedly, friends sneered, "Aren't you running away? Have I really returned to the past? Can I change the future?" Saiyan suddenly turned to look at the Duke father coldly. He didn't bother to respond, coldly raising his hand to signal to start. Hearing the shout, Renz smiled confidently and rushed forward like a moth to a flame to attack Saiyan. "What's this? Is he a snail or something? Why is he so slow?" Saiyan glanced at Renz with half an eye, then slightly moved aside, easily dodging one of his attacks. Renz was surprised and froze for 5 seconds. After realizing what had just happened, he angrily shouted, "Cowardly dodge!" Renz continued swinging his sword at Saiyan, but was knocked back by Saiyan, who then kicked his shin, causing him pain. Renz immediately grabbed his leg and cried out miserably, "Now I just need to point the sword at his throat and this duel will be over." But it's not enough. When we were young, Renz always bullied me, making me his plaything. Even when I went to school, it was the same. So I have to trample him so he won't dare do that to me anymore. In this life, I will carve out my own path. Saiyan stood high above looking at Grenz, his eyes gradually losing humanity. Grenz lost the match. The Duke ordered Saiyan to visit him, and to let him rest for a few days, which surprised Saiyan a bit. Could his victory really have been that impressive? Saiyan even glanced at the tall uncle beside him, accompanied by the high-ranking knight Yun-kun, the Duke's right hand. Just as Saiyan was heading to Grenz's place, he bumped into Margaret in the hallway. It seemed she was about to talk about her son. "Ha ha, she looks like she just stepped on dog poop," Saiyan thought smugly and greeted, "Friends, are you okay, Madam Margaret?" She gritted her teeth and replied, "You beat your own brother into this state. You still dare to ask that question? What a thick-skinned person a fight must be like this." "See you again," Saiyan said as he casually brushed past her. This action made Margaret unable to hold back her anger. Dragging Saiyan's background into this, she gritted her teeth. "That's why scum like you shouldn't be treated like a legitimate child. Like mother, like son. It's all because of your filthy mother. You should be begging on the streets, yet you still dare to cause trouble. You should be grateful." Saiyan stopped, turned to look at her, thinking silently whether he should just kill this woman right now. "No one knows better than me how to torment her. I will let her slowly feel the pain." Thinking of this, Saiyan smiled wickedly. Then he asked Margaret a loaded question. "Madam, you know I will attend the academy with Grange, right?" "What do you mean?" Margaret asked cautiously. She obviously wanted her son to graduate intact, right? "I guess you're not that worried about your son, are you, madam? You bastard, how dare you!" Margaret was about to physically attack Saiyan, but was stopped by Yun-kun. "The Duke is calling the young master urgently. I don't think we can delay any longer. We must go now." Saiyan stood aside, smiling smugly. "The Duke's order is supreme, and I am protected by a knight who even doesn't submit to the Duke's wife." A kind and trustworthy person stood at the door of Duke Yun-kun's room, allowing Saiyan to enter alone and see the dignified father standing behind the desk. Saiyan felt a bit nostalgic. It had been nearly 15 years since the two of them met like this privately. Duke Willius Vert, the great lord of Valius, The world was also known by another name, the guardian of the 6 great heroes who once stopped the demon invasion. With his tremendous magical power and wise intelligence, this man bore a responsibility no one forced upon him until his last breath in the battle against the Demon King's army. What he wanted was peace for the entire continent. But Sayen's memory of him was different. A man who voluntarily devoted his whole life to serving others, a fool. After settling into his seat, the Duke didn't beat around the bush and directly asked about his child's eyes. Watching and precisely avoiding the sword at the moment Grand rushed in, the child looked straight at the rising sword and twisted to dodge the strike. "When did you learn to wield a sword?" As always, he was very sharp, Sayen thought silently, then carefully replied, "I didn't really learn. I practiced by myself every night, sir. As I recall, you weren't interested in swordsmanship. Why did you hide your ability?" "Actually, I didn't want to attract attention, sir, but I really tried my best to defeat Grace. But wasn't what I did afterward unnecessary? So the father was asking to test me. He was trying to grasp my ability." Sayen guessed quickly and gave a reason: "I wanted to prove that I was better than Grace, even though we share the same bloodline. That was also the meaning behind the duel," I concluded. Hearing this, the Duke suddenly laughed loudly. "Well done, a clear and precise answer showing your level. I didn't expect you to be so talented. I'm very pleased. One day, you will definitely become my right-hand man." Why am I becoming his assistant, thinking of the cold and ruthless Cho piercing me in the previous life? Sayen clenched his fists tightly. As usual, he only thought of Cho. "Then I will destroy everything that bastard Atro wants to do. This is not a trophy, but I want to reward you for the recent fight. If you want anything, just say it." And what Sayen wanted was beyond the Duke's expectation that night. In the room, Sayen's shocked shout echoed Emily. "What, you want to go to the battlefield? Are you serious? Nothing is certain yet. Are you crazy? Do you know what kind of place that is? To fight the horde of terrifying monsters and demons in Valius, the western territory of the Uzip Kingdom. This is the only place on the continent considered a battlefield. However, inside this territory, only the Limi Valley is the front line. It is a brutal arena where the war against demons has lasted for hundreds of years. Therefore, Sayen's father firmly opposed Sayen's request from the start. Finally, because of his determination, he set a condition: Sayen must prove himself worthy to go to Limi Valley. Within 1 month, he didn't know what he would base his decision on. During that time, physical strength must be improved. Compared to peers, I'm still weaker unless I'm lucky enough to keep my combat instinct before regression and the little magic I can feel inside. If I train my body with my ability, I will definitely make good use of it. Great, I must start training today. While Sayen was silently calculating his sister, Alice stormed in, grabbed his collar, and questioned, "Are you crazy? I heard you ask Father to go to the battlefield, right? It seems you became arrogant after defeating friends, right? That's not true." Sayen quickly explained and followed her to the city wall. Alice left a sentence and decisively left the room. Although Sayen didn't understand what was going on, he obediently followed his sister's words. When Sayen arrived, he saw Alice holding a sword at her side. Seeing him, she declared, "When you draw your sword, I will start. If you can withstand my attack for 3 minutes, I will let you go to battle." Sayen sighed. "Do I really have to go this far, Alice? I don't need to know. Just answer me one thing. Are you aiming for the head of this family? So that's why she has to do this." "I'm not interested in that at all," Sayen thought silently. Seeing Sayen not answering, Alice immediately grabbed her sword and said, "That's right then. Draw your sword." "I just got half a day off after the fight with Grand, but today everything's been chaotic and exhausting," Sayen lamented, drawing his sword from its sheath. Before he could do anything, Alice rushed like the wind. Immediately, Sayen blocked Alice's attack, leaving Alice astonished, unable to believe that the boy could block the sword. He's only 10 years old. Zaan was a bit dissatisfied at this moment, silently thinking, does she really intend to use all her strength to fight her younger brother who is only 7 years old? Alice stepped back seriously, evaluating her opponent. The blade of the sword was very thin, yet the boy still managed to block her longsword. This time it was just luck. "Your intuition is better than I thought, dear Sayen." Seeing the genuine smile of his sister, Sayen felt uneasy, thinking, this is the end. Sure enough, right after that, Alice immediately launched a stormy attack using much more force than before. Xian continuously defended until Alice jumped up and swung a sword towards him. He raised his sword to block it, then instinctively took advantage of the opportunity to slide his sword along Alice's longsword towards her neck. "Damn it," Sayen cursed silently and immediately changed direction. After the clash, both swords were pushed back. That strike could have been really dangerous if I hadn't twisted my sword to redirect it. At that moment, I would have pierced her. Most swordsmen in the MIS organization possess many skills targeting critical points for instant assassination. It's very difficult to fight without aiming at weaknesses to defeat the opponent. Because my current strength is quite weak, how much time is left in those 3 minutes? I am compensating for my weak strength by enveloping the sword with magic, but I am reaching my limit. Cyan was distressed, thinking then heard Alice start murmuring an earth and wind spell to enhance the power of her sword, a level 6-star magic. Cyan was confused when he saw the sword in Alice's hand covered with mana. Then she used the water sword technique to counter Cyan, causing his heart to ache as if cut and tears to fall. Soaked, is she trying to kill me? I thought this was just a test of strength. Cyan looked at his sister with increasing despair. It's over. I can see the killing intent just from her gaze. I would fall off the fortress even if I blocked this move. I have no choice but to believe that will happen soon. Cyan jumped down from the stone platform, watching Alice prepare to strike silently, praying, "Please stop this battle, Yunkan." In this critical moment, Yunkan appeared like a god, blocking Alice's sword with one hand and grabbing Cyan by the collar with the other, lifting him aside. Then he sternly lectured Alice. "You are being too harsh on an opponent much younger than you." Cyan finally breathed a sigh of relief. He had been wondering when he would appear, but luckily in time. Alice seemed to snap out of her trance, startled, and hugged Cyan, crying softly, "Sorry, Cyan, I must have lost my mind for a moment. I just wanted to keep you away from the battlefield." "I am too obsessed with that." Cyan smiled warmly. This was very much like her. She always tried too hard at everything. Cyan's sister was once an outstanding student among outstanding students. She achieved S-Rank in all subjects at the Royal Academy, where all talented children gathered if they had aptitude in swordsmanship, magic, or other academic fields. Above all, Alice's beauty was astonishing, so people called her the child of the gods. Since childhood, she had been rigorously trained in swordsmanship. She was known as the future Continental Guardian along with the eldest son, Atravert, but shortly after joining the Light Knight Legion, she was assassinated. "I miss you so much, Alice." Cyan wrapped his arms tightly around his sister, silently determined this time he would protect her. Cyan's action surprised Alice a little, but then she suddenly thought of something and turned to ask Yunkan, "Aren't you the Count's guardian knight?" "But the Count has already left for the battlefield. I am currently under the Count's orders to protect the young master for a while, although I cannot tell you because I must keep it secret. I sensed his presence since I left the Count's office. Would he appear if this battle happened? But why did Father secretly order Yunkan to protect me?" Thinking of this, Cyan hugged Alice even tighter. At the same time, he rubbed against her shoulder as if acting spoiled. Seeing this, Alice smiled fondly. He is still just a child after all. The next day, Alice returned to the academy. Perhaps she only came back to see Father before the graduation ceremony. Cyan felt he needed to become stronger, so he focused on training his strength for the past 2 weeks, but 10 push-ups were his limit. He had been stuck at this limit for 2 weeks. I used to be quite confident in my strength in my previous life. The image of himself with a 6-pack body appeared in Cyan's mind, making him regretful. He needed a solution to boost his physical strength right now. Emily entered with a troubled face, holding the package Alice sent to Cyan, pinching her nose and saying, "What is this?" "Its smell is disgusting. It's a bit of hellhound blood that I asked her to get for me. It's a rare item only found in the Limmy Valley, but I guess the rumors about it appearing on the black market are true. The blood of the demonic beast species is considered a poison because of its terrible stench and burning sensation when used, but in fact it permanently increases a certain amount of mana. And the user's strength the first time. Many people think this is just a rumor, but I know it's true from my past life experience." Cyan silently replied, then poured out the blood. Emily stood at a distance, worriedly asking, "Young master, are you really going to drink it?" "Yes," he replied, secretly thinking, "Don't worry, Emily, I am the only one who can adapt." With her cooking skills, I still remember the first time was wild mushroom soup. My heart stopped beating after the first bite of that thing. Compared to that soup, this one? Cyan gulped it down in one breath, his face excited as he shouted, "It's delicious!" Feeling a surge of power flowing through his body, Cyan said a word to Emily and then left the house to go to the forest. Not far from there, it had also been a while since the last time I came here. I had been waiting for this moment for 2 weeks, a private moment where Yun Kyun did not follow me here because of frequent reports to my father. I used to come here whenever I wanted to be alone. One day, Astral received a revelation from the god of light Lumendel saying that an ancient temple was hidden somewhere in these mountains. Cyan did not fully believe it, but there really was a place where mana flow was concentrated. The god's revelation had come, and now only Cyan knew about it. Cyan walked along the trail to an open area, put his hand on the ground to search. And when he sensed that thing, he smiled with satisfaction, then used mana to shake the ground, and a tunnel gradually appeared before Cyan. Ah, I guess you can't imagine what I'm doing right now. Thinking silently, Cyan went down the tunnel. As he entered inside, Cyan thought it was completely different from the last time I was here. This place is the ancient temple of the god of light Lumendel, until the history of this land was erased due to the war between gods and demons 300 years ago. Who could imagine this place existed right on the mountain behind the castle? Cyan continued deeper inside and saw a glowing sword on a stone pedestal. He smiled and silently said, "I see it now." The owner of this castle in 999 before the founding on December 8th, humanity finally successfully expelled the Demon King's army from Valius. The Demon King's army was many times stronger than humans. But humans found an ancient holy relic called the Weapon of the Gods that helped them win. One of those relics, Durandal, is the holy sword bearing the power of the god of light Lumendel. This sword was probably the main reason humanity defeated. The demons and I will also die miserably in the future under this sword's blade. The one that the archangel possessed. Cyan stood before the sword pondering. It seemed Durandal was related to his regression. To verify his guess, Cyan reached out and touched Durandal's arc and sensed it. As expected, nothing happened. Cyan annoyedly kicked Durandal, losing all enthusiasm. "Damn sword, finish the job and let's go." Scolding, Cyan turned and walked in another direction, muttering, "Once I pass through the light, a strange shadow will appear until I find it in a dark place on. The ground there is a circle, and inside the circle is a sword shadow emitting red light." Cyan happily shouted, "Found it." At first glance, it looked like the shadow of a sword, but it was not. There was no shadow at all. Where there is light, there must be darkness, he said, then placed his hand on the circle. Immediately, the ground slid open a crack, revealing a passage leading down below. This was also the passage to another room, a secret path hidden under the Shrine of Light. Cyan went to the door at the end of the passage. When he opened the door, his eyes locked on the sword emitting red light on the stone pedestal. "Here you are, my sword, the demon sword Karam." Cyan happily approached and took the sword. Smirking, he greeted, "Good morning." Karam saw the sword did not react. Cyan continuously waved the sword and said, "You still haven't awakened." This familiar feeling is the best. Suddenly I want to slash something. Suddenly a ghostly figure appeared from the ground in front of Cyan, emitting a strange laugh. "Kid, aren't you afraid?" "You don't know what consequences awakening me will bring," Cyan said calmly, not knowing that this sword is now mine. "Awakening the demon sword while asleep, regretting it is too late, kid." "Your body now belongs to me," I said. Then the ghost flew towards Cyan. As the ghost flew towards Cyan, he simply reached out and grabbed the ghost's neck, then calmly said, "You weren't in such a hurry before." The ghost was restrained and revealed herself as a girl. The girl grabbed Cyan's arm fiercely, her face showing disbelief as she shouted, "What are you that you can touch me?" Cyan grinned and replied, "I said this sword is mine. Go away." The girl shouted loudly and attacked Cyan with her nails. Cyan tilted his head to dodge, and the hand controlling the girl's neck loosened, so she immediately broke free. She jumped back and stared at Cyan, questioning, "Who are you? Could you be the successor? I can sense Eru's aura coming from you." Cyan smiled and admitted, "Yes, I am Eru's successor. Your master has returned." "Kneel down, kneel before the Karam sword." Hearing this, Karam's face instantly showed anger. She couldn't accept that her master was just a kid. So she rushed forward and attacked Cyan wildly. Cyan, not angry, simply used the sword in his hand to easily dispel it. There's no point in talking further. The demon sword's ultimate goal is to possess the user's body. I have no choice but to compromise a little. Thinking this, Cyan smiled slightly and whispered to control the demon sword immediately. Karam opposite seemed to be pressed down by an invisible force falling to the ground. A voice said, "I only say this once. Why don't you accept me as your master while I'm still kind?" "How do you have that technique?" the arrogant brat Karam shouted, still stubbornly trying to attack Cyan. Cyan once again shouted to control the demon sword. Karam barely lifted herself up but was forced to kneel again. "Control the demon sword, control the demon sword, control the demon sword." After shouting 3 times, Cyan finally asked Karam, whose head was now deeply stuck in the ground. "What now?" Karam trembled and said, "I accept you as master. A moment later, I've finished what I had to do. Let's go right. We've been here too long." Thinking silently, Cyan returned to the old path to go outside. As he walked out, the crack on the ground closed just like before. At this time, Karam's hand emitted a black aura. Condensing into a face, she shouted, "Ah! It's been a long time since I breathed fresh air. So refreshing." Then Karam glanced at Cyan and asked, "Hey, master, what's your name?" Cyan answered Cyan. Karam looked suspicious and questioned Cyan. "I've never heard that name." "Did he or you really choose a kid like you?" Cyan replied, "Yes, from my previous life." Karam didn't understand and asked, "Previous life? What the hell are you talking about?" Cyan answered, "I died once before." What Karam was shocked and looked at Cyan, then returned to the Durandal sword. Karam saw it and asked, "Is he still asleep?" Cyan replied, "He still has to wait for the master for 25 more. You speak as if you know the future." Just as Karam finished speaking, Cyan swung his sword and cut off part of the Durandal sword's hilt. Karam was startled and shouted, "What are you trying to do?" Cyan held the cut hilt in his hand and laughed. "Who knows, maybe this will make the future more interesting." A month later, a carriage carrying Cyan left the castle. When the carriage stopped, Cyan, in light armor, stepped down full of emotion, unable to believe this day had come. Time flies so fast. Seeing his father approaching, Cyan bowed and greeted Duke Willius, who looked intently at his son and said, "I'll ask you one last time. Are you determined to charge into the battlefield? If you want to retreat, I won't stop you." Cyan looked up seriously and said, "Yes, father. My heart lies on the battlefield." Willius gave no further advice. He turned to Yun-kun and quietly said, "Open it." "Yes, sir." Yun-kun responded and took out a scroll of magic. Cyan was secretly amazed. What are they planning to summon? Immediately, Cyan saw Yun-kun open the summoning scroll to summon a monster resembling a dog with a burning back. Seeing this monster, Cyan had his answer, Demon Dog. A low-level beast from Limi Valley. Father and the knights must have put great effort into preparing this test. Cyan smiled confidently and stepped toward the demon dog. At the same time, he noticed several people with hands already on their sword hilts ready to charge if the situation became dangerous. At that moment, Willius spoke. "You must take responsibility for your actions, so prove your ability by passing this test and show us." Beside Willius and Yun-kun's eyes appeared a thoughtful expression as he silently pondered testing him and recalling the days before. At that time, Yun needed to ask if the young master just said he wanted to duel with me. Seon explained that there were only 3 days left before he had to fulfill his promise to his father. "I can't just keep swinging my sword at Cao Chung forever, right? I have to learn how to fight practically too, please help me." This duel at your age, young Master Grand, would Yun-kun still wanted to advise, but Seon said he didn't know why, but every time he met me he ran away, so it's really troublesome. Sighing silently, Yun-kun still agreed to Seon's request. "If you want, then fine. Instead, I will only use the sword sheath to fight you. I focus on defense. You just attack with all your might." Seon opened his mouth to thank you, Mr. Yun-kun. Then Seon changed his tone. "I have one more thing to ask you from now on. No matter what happens, don't say anything to father. This is an order." Although Yun-kun didn't understand what Seon meant, he said nothing, tacitly accepting it. The match began. Seon quickly rushed forward, drew his sword, and attacked. Yun raised the sword sheath to block. In his heart, he assessed the sword was heavy. Unbelievable. That was the sword of a child only 10 years old. Beside witnessing Seon's speed, Yunkel was once again amazed he was too fast. Suddenly, Seon's figure disappeared right before Uncle's eyes. In the blink of an eye, Seon appeared above Uncle's head, startling him a bit. Since when Yun-kun wondered as Seon from above slashed down strongly. Yun-kun raised the sword sheath to block. Seon did not stop. He continuously added several more strikes, but all were blocked by Yun-kun. At this point, Seon exhaled. He actively retreated, sheathed his sword, and said, "Indeed, I still can't defeat you. Well done, Yun-kun. Thank you for helping me." Yun-kun sincerely gave his evaluation. "Well done, young master." Remembering this, Yun-kun looked at the current Seon, thinking unexpectedly the weak young master Seon had improved so much. If his intuition was correct, the young master now could pass his test. At the same time, the duel between the demon dog and Seon also began. The demon dog led that attack towards Zeon. It charged forward and silently said. Zeon drew his sword, waiting for the demon dog to get close, then slashed at one of its eyes. The demon dog was hit, losing control, rolling several times on the ground before stopping. However, the wound did not affect the demon dog much. It immediately got up, slowly moving, staring at Cyan, waiting for a chance to attack with its current strength. Fighting a monster is too much. Must end this battle as soon as possible. I will finish it with this strike alone. Thinking and doing, Cyan used high speed to rush forward, slashing once at the demon dog's neck, then jumped high and thrust strongly, piercing the demon dog's brain, ending the fight. In the astonishment of the knights watching the battle, Willius, always serious, had to smile at Cyan's performance. Cyan stood looking at the demon dog's corpse bleeding on the ground, silently regretting such a waste. This blood could fill several bottles. Finally, Cyan still gave up, withdrew his sword, thinking, if I did this here, they would think I was crazy. Willius approached, clapped his hands, praising, well done, Cyan, see you again on the battlefield. After finishing, Willius mounted his horse and left. Cyan placed a hand on his chest, bowed to his father, and thanked him. After everyone left, Karam appeared and questioned the master. Do you consider me a fruit peeler or what? Cyan calmly said, of course not. You are a demon sword, so why ask? That Karam said irritably. Then use me, damn it, I have to absorb blood to become stronger. Please let me drink just a sip. Cyan opened his mouth, assuring, don't worry, soon I will use you to do the real work, just wait. Karam still grumbled, you should have awakened me at that time. Why awaken me so early? One quiet night at the camp was suddenly broken by the screams of monsters. The alarm bell was immediately rung loudly. The soldiers quickly gathered. Willius appeared with helmet and armor, shouted loudly, Okok Northwest region, form a defense line and eliminate them. Don't let any survive. Starting the monster-blocking campaign, the knights shouted loudly, raising their swords high. Their swords immediately emitted beams of light that combined together, forming a large magical circle in the air, illuminating a wide area. 1 second later, the ground beneath the monsters also appeared many similar magical circles. Streams of light cords poured out, wrapping around the monsters to restrict their free movement and attack. Willius shouted orders loudly and then charged out of the camp with his subordinates. The monsters were controlled, so the battle tilted to one side, stabbing and slashing on the ground. The number of monster corpses kept increasing in one area of the battlefield. Emily saw a monster's head fall in front of her. Frightened, she hid behind Cyan's horse, crying out, Mother, young master, why do you want to come to a place like this? Aren't you afraid? Cyan didn't bother to look at Emily. In his heart, he was full of emotion, thinking back nostalgically. This place is still like hell now. Willius rode up to ask Cyan how it felt at the front line. Cyan replied, I'm just a little nervous. Willius reminded him, see, the battlefield is also a place where you don't know when you'll die, so don't let your guard down. Cyan smiled and responded, yes, father, I remember. At the front line, situations like this are very normal. There can be 3 to 4 battles a day each, with its own detailed countermeasures focusing on skilled senior technicians to handle all the monsters. Intentionally crossing the front line back to the camp, Cyan looked out from his tent to scout. His tent was located in the rearmost area. It was also the safest place, always guarded closely. With such tight security, there was no chance for Karam to suck blood. Did he really have to wait until dinner time? While wondering, Cyan suddenly noticed Emily trembling under a blanket on the bed. Curious, he asked her what she was doing. Emily peeked out and said, isn't it the formula? It means I won't know when I will die. Why is that? Cyan asked helplessly. So are you planning to pack up and go home? Emily angrily shouted, do you think I can go home? When will you be able to stand on your own without me here? Monsters are everywhere. If I run away, who will take care of you, young master? Emily stormed out of the tent, saying, let's go. It's almost mealtime. Seeing that, Cyan quickly asked, Emily, what about the cloak I asked you to bring? Without replying, Emily went outside. Cyan, with an annoyed expression, thought to himself, should I fire her? Is this how she treats her young master? At night, Cyan made a dummy, placed it on his bed, covered it with a blanket, then smiled softly. That should do it. Suddenly, Emily spoke from the bed next to him. Are you still planning to go out to train here? Cyan turned and asked, did I wake you up? Emily rubbed her sleepy eyes and said, you really take care of yourself. If you knew the formula, you'd be proud. Cyan didn't continue, but put on his hood and went outside. Before leaving, he reminded Emily, I'm going now, you just keep working as usual, I'm still sleeping, remember? Emily responded, yes. After successfully sneaking out of the camp, Cyan chose a direction and rushed forward. Because this was the front line, the night guards of the soldiers were frequently reinforced and guarded strictly. So if he couldn't leave the camp now, it would be hard to act freely. How long did it take? Saiyan ran to a cliff, used the third bone-thickening skill called Bone Mist, and smoothly jumped down softly, saying, if I remember correctly. There were piles of monsters here. Indeed, a pack of ghost dogs appeared in front of Saiyan. Facing them, Saiyan took out his weapon Karam, his eyes showing sharp killing intent, and laughed, asking, a perfect place to use Karam to absorb blood, right, Karam? Karam excitedly replied, yes, the blood smells so strong, Master, I don't think I can hold back anymore. Hurry up and let me slash something! All right, Karam, I'll follow your will. Saiyan directly charged into the pack of ghost dogs, wielding his sword with the Storm Mist skill. His body moved swiftly. Karam in his hand continuously drew perfect, deadly curves, harvesting the lives of the ghost dogs. It only took a few minutes for Saiyan to finish off the pack of ghost dogs. Saiyan approached a ghost dog corpse, used a tube-like tool to extract blood into a cup. Saiyan directly drank a gulp of blood and shouted joyfully, this is yours, fresh blood absorbed. Karam also happily said, after awakening, this is the first time I feel this exhilaration. Saiyan said, very good, let's continue training like this. Karam asked, how long will it take to get stronger by eating these bugs? Saiyan looked toward the direction not far from him where a pile of monsters of various species was advancing, smiling and replying, don't worry, the night is still long and there are many monsters. Saiyan looked in a direction not far from him where a group of monsters of various kinds were approaching, smiling, and replied, don't worry, the night is still long and there are many monsters. Karam shouted excitedly, oh, so exciting! At the same time, two horse-drawn carriages protected by a group of knights were moving through the night. In one of the two carriages, two girls were sitting and talking to each other. One girl spoke up, I still think the front line is too dangerous. Let's go back, princess. The princess looked out the carriage window and spoke. I already said, don't treat me like a child. I am the princess of this kingdom. I have the responsibility to help the king father. How many times do you want me to say it? If you repeat it, I will really get angry. The girl replies, yes, your highness. Then the girl says, oh, now that you mention it, there is news that the youngest son of the Fott family has also gone to the battlefield. He must be about your age, sir. The princess is surprised and asks, did he bring his youngest son? The girl answers the duke did not intend to bring him along. The young master himself requested it. You two are about the same age, try to get to know each other. The princess turns her head and says, yeah, as if I care about such trivial matters, forget it. I need to sleep a bit. The girl bows and says yes. After a moment of thought, the princess asks what his name is. The girl replies, oh, it's Saiyan. I'm pretty sure his name is Saiyan, the princess murmurs softly. Saiyan, Saiyan. Another battle between the camp and the monsters ends. Williams loudly orders to check if anyone is injured. One soldier reports everyone is fine, sir. Willius commands very good, quickly return. The soldiers respond, yes, sir. Willius suddenly notices Saiyan when he sees how the boy dealt with a monster and curiously approaches to ask how he managed to adjust and survive in this first battle. Saiyan bows his head and answers, I learn something new every day, father. Willius seems very pleased, smiling, and says that's all. Why did I think you wanted to quickly return to your family? You have endured here quite a while. Father is very proud of what you have accomplished on this battlefield. Saiyan is secretly amazed what he is proud of me. Tomorrow father has something to discuss with me. Come to father's tent early in the morning, then Willius turns and leaves. Saiyan responds, yes, father. He watches his father's back a bit dazed, thinking father has never treated me this well before. Even in the previous life at night, Saiyan continues to hunt monsters. Currently, his opponent is a deathworm, a type of monster that usually only appears deep in the valley. After a while of fighting without results, Karam opens his mouth and suggests to the master, it seems you are having difficulties. Please switch places with me, let me fight for you. Saiyan glances at the weapon in his hand and questions switch places with you. You think I don't know what you want. Karam swears, I swear it will only take a moment and then I will switch back to you, see. It immediately recovers its wounds and continues to attack. It will be useless. Saiyan cannot help but admit what Karam said is true. If he continues, it won't be good. It has been a month since he went to the front line. He has drunk the blood of countless monsters, but that is not enough to deal with monsters like the death worm. So Saiyan has to accept Karam's offer. I agree to switch places with you even if you are planning something. Karam excitedly shouts, all right, let's go. Immediately, Saiyan's aura changes. The ninth awakening mist technique, Demon Sword Burst, is used on the death worm, instantly causing numerous wounds, causing it to writhe in pain. The death worm angrily opens its mouth full of fangs toward Saiyan. Saiyan is not afraid, whispering, I will tear your thick skin into pieces. This time, Saiyan uses the Mist Sword technique, 8-flower slash attacking from the air downward. When he lands, only the head of the death worm is split into many parts, fresh blood splattering resembling a blood flower blooming in the night. A few hours later, Willius leads his subordinates near where Saiyan often hunts. He sits beside the corpse of a monster, dipping his hand into some blood to examine. This thing has been dead for a long time. Yun-kan guesses the residual magic here seems very strong. It could be a demon that did this. William seriously says we cannot take this lightly. If it is related to the demon tribe, immediately search the area and destroy these bodies. The subordinates respond, yes, sir. Willius frowns again, looking at the state of the bodies. These slash marks look very familiar. Am I mistaken? He is deep in thought when Yun-kun calls, sir. You should see this. Willius has to temporarily put aside his doubts and goes to Yun-kun's place. Holding the torch in Yun-kun's hand, the scene gradually becomes clear. Seeing what it is, Willius is startled and softly exclaims, this is Yun-kun. Continuing correctly, it is a death worm. Looking at the body covered in fresh blood wounds scattered on the ground, Willius couldn't help but ask who could have done this to it. Immediately after, a thought suddenly occurred to Willius that perhaps it was that organization. Everything here Saiyan was completely unaware. Currently, he had returned to his tent and lay on his bed. Saiyan was deep in thought. The demon sword allowed Karam to control his body, and could unleash all his power, but he could still control his body if she was careless in battle. That was why he allowed her to control him. When fighting monsters, he had drunk all the blood of the monster. After defeating them, his strength had increased a bit. If it had been a month ago, he wouldn't have been able to endure it. Saiyan sat up, a painful sensation hitting him, causing him to softly cry out, "Ah, my body hurts so much." Karam suddenly spoke. "I understand. You may look like a kid, but you don't talk or behave like one. When acting with me, you are very fast and skilled. You also know the geography of the Limi Valley area very well. Your swordsmanship seems as if you have practiced at least 35. Moreover, you said you have died once before, right? I'm sure you were reincarnated, right?" Saiyan looked at Karam with strange eyes and said, "I told you I have died once already. That's very clear." Karam froze for a few seconds, then angrily shouted, "Why didn't you explain that to me?" Saiyan calmly said, "I'm too lazy." Karam gritted his teeth and spoke. "Anyway, killing someone like you is not easy. I guess you were killed by the owner of the Durand ARC. There are two possibilities: you were killed in a one-on-one battle or you were betrayed. I feel it is very likely the second one." Saiyan curiously asked, "Why do you think so?" Karam replied, "You despise the holy sword, so I guess you have no good feelings toward it. Therefore, your purpose is revenge." Then Karam pressed close to Saiyan's face. Grinning like a demon, he whispered, "Whatever the way, always remember, if I find out you fail or lose heart, I will devour you." Saiyan waved his hand to knock Karam away and then opened his mouth disdainfully. "Absorb me, I'm not stupid enough to let you do that." Inside, he laughed silently. He still hadn't changed, still keeping the same personality as in his previous life. The next day, as Saiyan stepped out of the tent, he noticed the soldiers' strange expressions. It made him silently suspect something was wrong. It seemed everything was chaotic. At that moment, Emily ran over and said, "Young master, you are awake." Saiyan asked Emily what happened. Emily replied, "Yes." Suddenly, the body of a high-level monster was discovered at the entrance of the valley. Saiyan was a bit nervous, thinking to himself, "Is she talking about that worm?" Emily continued, "It has been a long time since the last time a monster like that appeared near the camp area." Saiyan then asked, "Anything else?" Emily was surprised and said, "Yes." Seeing Emily hesitate, Saiyan grew impatient and asked, "Besides that, is there anything else?" As if detecting a suspect or something about him before Emily could answer, Yun-kun came to inform, "Young Master Saiyan, the Duke, wants to see you right now." Saiyan thought silently, "This is bad. I can't handle the huge body of that monster right now." Because the patrol soldiers suddenly appeared, the chance to enjoy life before entering the academy was taken away. Carrying a worried mood, Saiyan entered Willius's tent. "Father, I have arrived." Willius spoke, "Come here." As Saiyan approached, he thought to himself, "Father won't recognize that it's me. If he asks about yesterday, how should I explain it?" Willius was still observing Saiyan. He pointed to a chair and said, "Sit down." Willius sat down and said, "I will speak frankly. What did you do last night?" Saiyan answered, "I went to bed early because I was too tired." Hearing that, Willius pondered, "Went to bed early, huh? But those slash marks are clearly Saiyan's swordsmanship. Have I thought too much?" Seeing Willius silent, Saiyan asked, "Why do you ask that, Father?" "It's hard to believe that." A child like this could handle a death worm. Moreover, seeing Willius still silent, Saiyan called, "Father, is there something worrying you?" At this moment, Willius spoke. "You must have heard about what happened near the camp last night. I still have to investigate more, but it seems there are traces of activity from the secret assassin organization, the Mist." Saiyan showed suspicion and repeated, "The Mist," Willius explained. "That is an organization that has existed for thousands of years. No one knows their true purpose, but they have assassinated countless nobles under the pretense of purification. Wherever they go, there is a characteristic black mist. But then one day they completely disappeared. The last time they were active was 300 years ago, but the death worm last night was shrouded in a black mist that is the trace left by the god Eru. The god of darkness, the god revered by the Mist organization, and also the root of their power. If my guess is correct, that Deathworm was destroyed by them and the monsters." Saiyan silently marveled, truly amazing, just that much. Father could already guess who was behind this, even though that organization was last seen 300 years ago. "Willius instructed me. I don't know why they reappeared, but you must be careful. I will report this to the king and investigate further." Saiyan replied, "Yes, Father." In his heart he sighed in relief, thinking perhaps Father believed him now. As for Willius, he thought it was absurd that Saiyan was involved with this organization, especially since he was still so young. Because of that thought, Willius ended the conversation there. That was all. Then he changed the subject, asking who visited today. Sean answered, "I heard the king would visit, but it was supposed to be today." Willius smiled and said, "I also want to ask you for a favor." Saiyan curiously asked, "What is it, sir?" The next day, the sound of trumpets echoed throughout the camp. A soldier loudly announced, "The king has arrived." Willius immediately led soldiers to the camp gate. "Kneeling down to welcome the Lord of Velius. Greetings, your majesty." Velius, the king smiled, softly called out, jumped off his horse, stepped forward, and helped Willius by the shoulder, saying, "We have been old friends, so don't be so formal." Willius hesitated, but said, "Your majesty." At this moment, the king noticed Saiyan beside Willius. "Oh, is this the child?" the king asked himself. Saiyan took the initiative to speak. "I am honored, your majesty. I am Saiyan Vought, the youngest member of the Vought clan." The king praised so young and already out fighting in battles. "Your children are truly different." Saiyan thought to himself, wondering what Father wanted him to do, but instead he was asked to introduce himself. "In my previous life, I always had to hide inside the house. Every time the king came, Father trusts me like this. It's really touching." At this moment, the king looked toward the carriage behind and said, "I also want to introduce another person, a servant." Hearing this, the carriage door opened. A white-haired girl in a red dress stepped out and introduced herself as the 5th princess of the Uship kingdom, Aaron Severus. Hearing the name, Saiyan thought silently, Aaron Severus, the tragic 5th princess. He recalled his father's earlier request, "I need you to escort Princess Aaron that day." Saiyan worriedly asked, "What, how so?" Willius reassured, "Don't worry, just stay close to her. She's about your age. When you enter the academy, you'll meet her again." Saiyan pondered. "I remember I have met her before in my previous life." Several times in classes at the academy, William advised, "Getting acquainted with royalty isn't harmful and won't last long, but I want you to befriend her." Back to the present, looking at Aaron right in front of him, Saiyan sighed and thought, "But I don't want to at all. But I understand Father's intention. Perhaps he wants me to have a relationship like his with the king, but he chose the wrong person. She can't be my friend, although I can't say why, because it's the future only I know. It's really annoying, but I will pretend to comply." The group entered that camp. Willius walked beside the king, and Saiyan walked beside Aaron. Suddenly, Saiyan noticed Aaron stopped. He suspiciously turned to look at her. Aaron looked in one direction and asked, "Why is that river red?" Saiyan asked. "Do you mean the Blood River?" Aaron whispered. "Blood River." Saiyan explained, "This stream flows through the Limi Valley. There's no complicated reason for the river's red color. Old or injured monsters, near death and unable to survive, will instinctively jump into the Blood River. Their bodies decompose along the river, then transform mana, turning the river red." Aaron asked, "So it's all really blood and flesh?" Saiyan said, "Yes, that's right. They also drink and bathe in that river water, so it's disgusting. Don't go near that river." Aaron frowned and exclaimed, "That's gross, so what's at the end of the river?" Saiyan replied, "The demon realm." Aaron asked again, "Demon realm, the place where demons live." Saiyan grinned and teased, "Exactly, if you follow this river. You might even meet the demon king." He thought to himself, who would be crazy enough to do that? Just scare her a little bit. Suddenly, a beam of light appeared in the sky. Aaron curiously asked what that light was. The scion's face became serious and replied that it was the signal from the third plantation to the west, a yellow signal indicating the appearance of demon beasts. Aaron turned around and asked if there were monsters here. At this moment, Williams loudly ordered the protection of the King Knight's guards and scouts to follow him to the third plantation in the west. He was about to leave but was called back by the king. "Don't be like that," Williams said suspiciously, looking at the king. The king drew his weapon and said, "Do you think I came here just to sightsee? I'm feeling very bored." Williams thought for a moment, then sighed and said, "Yes, your majesty." The king turned back and told the soldiers he brought that they would join the raid against the demons. "Eliminate all of them." The soldiers shouted loudly. "Yes, your majesty." Williams looked at Sion and said, "You will join too, Sion?" Sion replied, "Yes, father." Aaron, standing beside, asked, "Can you fight the demon beasts?" Sion answered, "Yes, but only support from behind." "You should hide first." Before Sion finished speaking, Aaron opened her mouth and requested, "Take me with you." Sion felt disbelief and thought, what did she just say? Seeing Sion's strange look, Aaron shouted, "You said you are the same age as me, so I want to go too." Sion reminded her, "Seriously, this is not a place to play." Aaron ignored and said, "I don't care, I want to go, no one can stop me." Sion got angry and shouted, "Yun-kun." Yun-kun understood and went to Aaron's side, assuring, "Yes, young master. A Yun-kun royal knight will escort the princess to safety." Then Yun-kun said to Aaron, "Let's go, princess." Aaron turned to look at Yun-kun, then quickly pointed at Sion and scolded, "Traitor, how dare you treat the princess so disrespectfully?" Sion's eyes became cold. He put on an expressionless face, leaned close to Aaron, and quietly said, "Many knights might die just because of your stubbornness. But just one foolish moment. You've already decided to risk your life on the battlefield. So do you dare to take responsibility? A responsibility for those lives?" Aaron suddenly felt scared, her eyes blurred, unable to say a word. Seeing that, Sion stopped paying attention to Aaron and turned to leave. At the same time on the battlefield, soldiers were full of spirit resisting the monsters. "Don't hesitate, charge now." Williams and the king's group also rushed to the battlefield. He immediately loudly commanded, "Form a formation to protect the king and eliminate them. Spare no demon." During the fight, Sion told Karam a little about Princess Aaron. Dion Severus, king of the Usopp kingdom, had 2 wives. Diana Quizel was the first wife, but she had passed away. Cassandra Nepos was the concubine known as the powerful judge of the kingdom, the former queen who gave birth to the eldest princess and 2 other princesses. The current queen was the mother of the 3rd and 4th princes. However, Aaron Severus, the 5th princess, was born of low status with a commoner mother. People treated her like a puppet princess because of her mixed bloodline. But she never cared about others' eyes and always fulfilled her duties as a royal family member, studying harder than anyone else. However, she was slandered by jealous people as a traitor and was expelled by the royal family and kingdom. It was rumored that the princess died alone from an illness on an island. Therefore, people called her the tragic princess. She should have lived a happy life if not for ambition. Speaking of ambition, Karam felt it sounded familiar. "Didn't your father always say that to you in your previous life?" Sion swung his sword to cut a monster, his face unhappy, replying, "It's different. Politics in the royal family is always like that." Then he said, he looked toward the king, who was fighting vigorously among the monsters. He was definitely a talented person. Emperor Daeon was famous as an 8th-level mage. If he did not ascend the throne, he would have become the head of the Mage Association. A mid-level monster was nothing to him. Being king was probably just his hobby. After clearing the monsters, everyone returned to the camp. The king was in high spirits and invited the duke to drink together and also discussed political affairs. "About what you asked me regarding the recent situation in the kingdom, there have been many noble assassinations. This is worrying. Do the assassinations have anything in common?" The king frowned and replied that all the nobles who were killed were corrupt officials, and the black mist appeared everywhere at the scene. "What do you think?" The formula rubbed his chin thoughtfully for a moment and then replied that yesterday he found their traces here. "It seems the assassin cult followers of the Black Mist Society have acted again." "That makes sense, but you need to investigate thoroughly. Thank you for dealing with that pile of trash. But I also cannot sit still and watch them live in constant fear like that. What else is troubling you?" The king then confided that some nobles were nagging, blaming the 5 princesses. "Do you mean they deliberately pinned those cases on Princess Aaron? I have dismissed those rumors to silence them. But it seems a faction is trying to exploit her. I want to ask you for a favor as a friend, not as a king. If I leave before you, please take care of her." The Duke placed his hand on his chest and replied, "I, William Word, obey your majesty's order." Meanwhile, at Sion's tent, after hearing about the recent events, Emily looked incredulous and asked, "Is that all?" What else could she expect? Emily just regretted that the iron was not forged into steel, saying she was a princess. "He only escorted her here. With this group, he won't be able to marry anytime soon." "I'm not going on a date," Sion silently objected, then instructed Emily, "While I'm away on business, I leave everything to you. Are you going to train again? It's raining heavily." "Don't worry, and don't stay up waiting for me," Sion said, leaving. Just as he was about to leave, Aaron came to find him wanting to talk. "How long have you been here?" "About a month." "Why did you come here?" Aaron then looked at the giant light bulb in the room and said apologetically, "Please let us talk privately for a moment." She kept staring at Sion, who helplessly ordered, "Get out, Emily." Emily immediately obeyed, smiling slyly before leaving. "All right, then. Have fun, you two." Sion was sad, but Sion Hong said, "Having fun with a 10-year-old? No way, I'm 40 years old." After Emily left, Aaron finally relaxed and spoke her mind. "Sorry for earlier. I feel I didn't behave properly as a princess." Sion rubbed his head and replied, "You don't need to worry. I also apologize for being rude. Not you. If it were me, I would say the same. You are recognized by many unlike me, and you are much more mature. Are you planning to join the academy or not?" Before Aaron finished, Sion immediately interrupted. "Sorry, but I don't think I can help you." Before Aaron could finish being surprised, Sion coldly dismissed her. "If you came to make friends, please leave. I just want us to have a good relationship." "Are you so difficult, or do you think I'm just a princess's facade?" At this point, tears involuntarily streamed down Aaron's cheeks. "I understand. Being friends with me is of no benefit to you. Sorry for wasting your time. I must be blind. I thought at least we could talk, but you are completely different from Lord Arthur." Hearing the name of his brother, Sion immediately grabbed Aaron's hand and questioned Arthur. "It's okay, you know my brother." Aaron endured the sharp pain from her clenched arm and frowned. "Last year, while walking around the Royal Academy, I met him. He advised me not to care about others' opinions and just focus on being a princess. Advised that monkey. Ever since she met him, everything was arranged. The plan to overthrow Princess Aaron." Thinking of this, Sion kindly warned her, but before he could finish, chaos erupted. Emily rushed in, shouting, "Young master, you must run!" As Emily finished, the roof above them suddenly vanished. The guard, seeing the giant monster, immediately shouted, "The young master's tent! Hurry and check if the young master is in danger!" Emily blinked at the monster until she saw it holding a large tree trunk, swinging it straight at Sion's position, then screamed in fear, "Young master!" The king, upon hearing that high-level monsters ambushed the border camp where the princess was present, immediately mobilized the entire royal army. At the scene, Sion was hiding behind a large rock, observing the monsters and silently speculating about death worms and ogres. They only live in the deeper parts of the valley, so why did they suddenly appear here? Something must have changed. Is it because of me? Emily sat on one side, sobbing, "Young master, I really thought you were gone. Now I will never leave you again." Recalling the earlier scene of Sion dragging the princess away to escape the attack of the giant ogres still makes Emily shudder. She couldn't help but shiver. "In the past, I even defeated the Demon King, as if those monsters could ever harm me." At this moment, the princess worriedly asked, "Do you think the knights in the camp are okay?" "Princess, don't worry, the knights are very strong." Emily reassured her, but regret welled up again, causing Aaron to burst into tears. "If I hadn't come here, things wouldn't have turned out like this. The knights who came with me are all escort knights for her." Hearing this, they hurriedly tried to comfort us. "We're fine, the princess is protecting her as a knight of the kingdom. It is our duty," and the other knight agreed, saying, "He's right, princess, we will risk our lives to protect Sion." Sion looked at the soldier, then his face immediately changed. He shouted, "Get out of the way!" The soldier was still confused and didn't understand what was happening when he was grabbed from behind by a monster and squeezed tightly pushed backward. Sion spoke while standing in front to protect the princess. The monster suddenly stopped, sniffed its nose, then threw the unlucky soldier away and stepped closer. Sion immediately thought to himself, "It's targeting me." Then he ordered Emily, "I will distract the demon, you take the princess and run away." Emily responded with a single word, then directly grabbed the princess like carrying a sack of rice and ran. By the way, a reminder to the soldier who was still stunned, "What are you doing? Let's go." Sion felt a bit hurt by this scene. Is she really in such a hurry? The troll had identified its target and immediately roared, raising both hands to smash down where Cyan was standing, but before it could act, Cyan jumped high and gave it several tattoos. Why do I attract these high-level monsters? It felt like they could sense something from me, like reading my thoughts. Cyan Karam then smiled weirdly and said, "You have drunk the blood of countless monsters to become stronger. That's why you smell like them. It's no wonder they target you." Cyan immediately got angry after hearing this. "You knew this too. Why are you only telling me now? Did you forget what I want is your body? Because of this sentence." Karam was immediately grabbed roughly by Cyan by the collar and revealed his true form as a demon. Wielding a hot sword in hand, Cyan confidently showed his style, and just a few basic moves sent the troll flying. Phew, now that no one is watching, let's drink some high-level monster blood. Seeing the monsters as numerous as the Mongol army in front of Karam, he became more excited and shouted as if it were a grand feast. Wait, that is... Cyan found it hard to believe, staring ahead to see a fierce dragon looking at Cyan with cold eyes, then roaring loudly, shaking the earth and sky. No, it's still young. It probably smells you too. Why the dragon is here is not important. What matters is that I catch it. Cyan thought, then lent his body to Karam and happily ordered, "You must catch the dragon, no? You must eat it." In another development, the king and duke finally arrived but were ambushed by monsters. After dealing with a monster, the king anxiously asked, "Is this the last one, William?" "Yes, it seems so, your majesty. What about the princess and your son?" "I saw no trace of them from the tent," the god said. Hearing this, the king reassured, "It's okay. You must be very worried about your son," the duke replied calmly. "What's there to worry about, the boy? The most important thing is the princess." The king was a bit shocked by the cultural difference and asked with a discriminatory face, "You are too cold." "Is the boy really your biological son?" Family members must know how to protect themselves. Just then, soldiers came to report to His Majesty. "We have found the princess," Aaron's father shouted loudly while running toward the king. Seeing her, the king anxiously asked, "Han, are you hurt?" "Hurry, father, I have to save him." "Save who?" "Say, Han, because of you." The king sensed a cold aura emanating from behind him coming from the duke's position. "You are Cyan's servant, right?" The duke asked Emily, who was kneeling on the ground. "Yes, sir." He said, "Tell me what happened to Cyan." Fearful, Emily thought, "I've never seen the duke so scary." Trembling, Emily replied, "The young master used himself as bait to buy time for us to escape." The knight protecting the princess quickly suggested, "I remember, where was he then?" "Just give the order and I will go with the others to rescue the young master." Seeing the duke silent, the king impatiently shouted, "What are you waiting for? William, hurry up, no need." The duke's answer stunned everyone. "Are you serious?" The king thought he misheard and asked again, "We need to resolve the situation first. If the camp collapses, the monsters will flood into our kingdom. We must rebuild this place immediately. This is the only way to prevent more casualties." "What about the young master?" the knight hesitantly asked. "He has done his duty by keeping the princess safe." Then the family member was caught like that. Arvin felt even more regretful after hearing the duke's cold words. Why, it's still my fault." At that moment, a deafening scream rang out. Arvin involuntarily looked up to the sky toward the sound and then saw a dragon flying. The important thing is Cyan, who was clinging to the dragon's leg. Dragons are the creatures closest to the Creator. They are noble beings rarely seen once in a lifetime. They are supreme creatures that lowly beings like humans can hardly approach. It's an honor that now I get to fight alongside such noble creatures. But why is Cyan looking down? Why does it keep flying back and forth to the place where I cannot see? Unbelievable! That's a dragon, Vilius. Why is your son climbing on that dragon? What are you waiting for? Why don't you save him? The duke did not answer, but kept staring at Cyan as if he wanted to probe something. Cyan tried hard not to fall while silently cursing, "Damn it, I really want to drink its blood. I didn't expect this to happen." Back a few minutes earlier, after Cyan lent his body to Karam, Karam excitedly prepared to attack the evil dragon, but was almost immediately blocked by high-level monsters. "Everyone move quickly, I don't have time to entertain you," Karam said, and used the storm sword technique, slashing a few basic moves that made the monsters disappear. Then Karam looked at the evil dragon with a judging eye. "It's not an adult, its size already shows that." At that moment, the evil dragon opened its mouth and shot a blast toward Karam. Karam, distracted by judging, couldn't react in time and took the full brunt of the attack, his whole body pushed backward, colliding with a rock that shattered it. "Rude dragon, this is the first time you've dared to spit in my face." "Then I will slash your face." Saying and doing, Karam jumped up from the rubble and flew forward, slashing a basic strike into the dragon's eye. The evil dragon let out a painful scream. Taking advantage of Karam falling freely, the dragon aimed its sharp tail at her to finish her off. Karam was not afraid. She even smiled happily and unleashed the 8-flower sword technique on the evil dragon. I think I can't ride it anymore. My shoulders hurt so much. Karam stood still, stretching her muscles, but as soon as she turned around, she saw the evil dragon flying high, flapping its wings strongly toward her. I won't fall for the trap a second time. Karam thought to herself, then got ready to fight, but she had overestimated the dragon. It just flew up, then curved its tail and fled. That damn lizard ran away. Stop right there. Don't think you can run. Before she finished, Karam jumped and successfully grabbed the dragon's leg, then returned her body to Sayan and caught up with it. Lucky that's good. Sayan was about to deal with the evil dragon when he noticed a large crowd below watching him intently. Now, how do I handle this situation? I am Sayan. Not knowing what to do reasonably, Karam appeared. What's going on? Why aren't you doing anything? What do you mean? Don't you see the people below are watching us? Karam strained her neck and said, so what? If you chose me, then you should do something. Do you want me to use the demon sword to deal with everyone down there? If they see what I do, they will burn me alive. Then what are you going to cling to the dragon forever? I am also thinking of a way. At that tense moment, Sayan saw his father standing below, casting a formation which was the 8-star magic. Is he planning to use the heavenly secret sword? Knowing his son is about to be swept away. Not disappointing Sayan, his father, the Duke indeed unleashed a secret move to save him, making him so happy he cried. Father truly deserves the title of protector of the continent. Father, the evil dragon saw that. Immediately tried to dodge the Duke's rain sword, but in the end still couldn't avoid losing one leg, coincidentally the leg that Sayan was clinging to. Leaving him with no support, he immediately fell freely in mid-air, unable to believe it. I missed the chance to enjoy the special meal. Xian looked at the evil dragon with silent regret. What are you doing? Fly up! Do you want to kiss the ground? Karam anxiously shouted. No. If I use the mist technique, I'll be at a disadvantage. Karam angrily shouted, the more you struggle, the more you'll fall and get hurt. I don't know, maybe I should reconsider, Xian replied, then looked around. His eyes suddenly shone as he immediately adjusted his body to fall into the river not far away. At the same time, on the other side of the river, a silver-haired demon saw the evil dragon and was surprised. An evil dragon flying around here, that's a rare sight. It was quite small, seemingly having lost its prey due to trouble. The red-haired old demon replied, it seems to be a pretty strong demon beast. The red-haired demon shook his head. No, that's a human. Impossible. An evil dragon letting a human slip away. Speaking of which, the silver-haired demon suddenly turned his head, staring in one direction. Is something wrong? The silver-haired demon pointed that way and said, I feel a strange energy there. Although strange, it also feels somewhat familiar. Then let's go check it out. But the red-haired demon reminded before the silver-haired demon took off flying. Please don't kill recklessly just because you're bored, he said, returning to Sayan. After some struggling underwater, Sayan finally managed to climb ashore. Karam, are you still alive? Sayan asked with concern, but was immediately threatened by Karam. Don't open your mouth to talk to me. I'm thinking of how to deal with you. Sayan didn't care and calmly replied, don't be crazy, I have to go back there. So you really want to go back? Let's go together. There are demons down there, no need to worry. It's unlikely to encounter a high-level demon in a place like that. Just as Sayan finished speaking, a voice rang out. I knew it, I knew there would be some fun waiting for me. Sayan immediately froze, recognizing the voice. The voice was deeply engraved in his mind to the extent that no matter what, he could never forget it. The Demon King Valkyrian. Everyone who met him in the past said it felt like looking at the embodiment of evil. That was also the one standing in front of Sayan now. The Demon King frowned and asked, Are you human? Damn, why now? Sayan silently cursed, then raised his weapon ready to fight. I asked if you are human. Why don't you answer me? In a blink, the Demon King appeared behind Sayan with a gloomy expression and said, Kid, do you want to fight me? Sayan was a bit startled and immediately swung his sword behind him. The Demon King swiftly dodged like a gentle breeze, narrowly escaping Sayan's attack, watching his hair fall from being grazed by Sayan's sword. The Demon King was not angry, but smiled with satisfaction. I've heard that humans have unlimited potential. Seems to be true. Karam couldn't help but ask through telepathy, Isn't this question a bit inappropriate? But who is that, the Demon King, with your current state? How do you plan to defeat him? How could I? That's impossible. I can only try to run away. Saiyan answered, then wondered if he could survive. When his opponent was Valkyrian, thinking of this, Saiyan's hand holding the sword trembled. At that moment, the Demon King spoke again. Relax a bit. Seeing Saiyan stare wide-eyed, the Demon King, a bit embarrassed, explained, a tiny kid like you, what could I do? Calm down. To increase credibility, the Demon King lay flat on the ground, stretched out, and said, look, I won't do anything to you, really. If you're that scared, I can lie down and talk with you. Even if I'm a rogue, I wouldn't fight a kid. The Demon King's action made Saiyan a bit unprepared. He just stood there looking at him, his body gradually relaxing. Let me ask again, are you human? The Demon King smiled and asked. At this moment, Saiyan finally spoke, yes. Then came a series of questions from the Demon King. How did you get here following the river's flow? Is this your first time in the demon realm? The aura around you is a bit strange. Who are you? Just an ordinary human. An ordinary human, but it seems you know who I am. The Demon King's gaze scrutinized Saiyan Zeon, though he was a bit nervous. But outwardly, he still tried to appear as natural as possible, replying, we have never met before. The Demon King changed his posture. Placing his hands behind his head, eyes closed without any guard, said, that's true. This is also the first time I've seen a human. When could you have met me? That calm attitude. Is he really the Demon King I know? Thinking silently, Saiyan began to inquire why the Lord was here. The Demon King honestly replied, I sensed a strange energy while patrolling around the Cha district. That's right, as the Demon King, of course I have to oversee the territory I rule. Saying this, the Demon King sat up and asked back, hey kid, what did I just say? As the Demon King, I have to oversee the territory I rule. Aren't you surprised I am the Demon King? I knew it, you've heard about me somewhere before. What kind of kid could react like you? Has your mother never scared you by saying if you don't obey, the Demon King will take you away? While speaking, the Demon King shouted loudly, annoyed, looking at his bratty demeanor. Saiyan couldn't help but doubt his humanity. He couldn't be the Demon King he once knew. If everything unfolds like in my past life, the demon invasion is about to break out. But this guy doesn't seem like the type to do that. If this is his true nature, then what caused his change? The more I think, the more confused I get. Saiyan cautiously asked, if you really are the Demon King, what is the wish you want to fulfill? The Demon King was surprised by Saiyan's question. After a moment of putting on a serious face, he smiled broadly and replied, you ask such questions to the Demon King. Bold of you. There's not much. I just want my people to eat well and live well. But if anyone dares to block my way, the Demon King's smile turned cruel. I will deal with them all. That is the duty of the Demon King. Saiyan saw that expression for a moment, just a moment. But surely I felt the true ferocious face of Valkyrian that I knew in my past life. Right now it's being suppressed, but something must have happened, causing the chains binding this face of his to be broken. I need to stop that from happening. Thinking silently, Saiyan took a risk and said to the Demon King, do you want to make a deal with me? Something is going to happen to you soon. It will threaten the people in your territory. What are you talking about? I don't understand at all. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it will trigger a great war between humans and demons. The Demon King frowned and replied, you mean I want to seize your lands? Saiyan didn't answer but continued to propose, that's why I want to negotiate with you. Promise me that no matter what happens, you won't start a war, okay? What nonsense are you talking about? I don't know whatever. Just consider that I won't start a war. In return, you will give me something. I will help you no matter what happens to you. I will try my best to help you. The Demon King then stepped closer, pressing his face near Saiyan, scrutinizing something. Being stared at by the Demon King made Saiyan a bit uncomfortable. His heart was pounding nervously as if sitting on a raft. Then the Demon King smiled mockingly. Suddenly interested, he asked, what's your name? Saiyan Vert. Saiyan answered without hesitation. Saiyan Vert, as the master of the demon realm, I promise you that no matter what happens, I will not invade your land. The Demon King spread his wings and flew up to the sky. At the same time, he reminded, but you should also be responsible for your promise. After all, we have made a pact. Saiyan nodded, all right, then the pact is considered complete, saying that the Demon King happily left. After making the pact with the Demon King, the investigation team successfully found Saiyan unconscious, and he successfully returned. Afterwards, he was nicknamed the boy who survived under the claws of the evil dragon. Xian was taken to a monastery on the Valius border, temporarily used by the army as a hospital to rest. But as soon as he woke up, Eren came to visit and made a shocking statement. You will become mine, won't you? This sentence can be understood in two ways, become my subordinate or marry me. What is she saying? Regardless of the meaning, Saiyan still felt uneasy, so he bluntly replied no. Hearing that Aaron was initially shocked, then tears welled up in disappointment as she said, of course. I am an incompetent attack princess after all. Saiyan glanced at Aaron. She really was annoying. Well, I already know she's incompetent. But that attitude only makes her worse. Clearly that's something that will happen in the future, but I can't stop thinking about that bastard being related to her tragic ending. Saiyan couldn't bear to tell Aaron that she was right, that she brought no benefit to me or anyone else. Regarding her uselessness now, she has no influence or courtesy at all. If I get close to her, I'll only be at a disadvantage. Even so, I will continue to watch her from afar, until she fully develops herself into a better person. Watch me. Don't be disappointed about that. Okay, I understand. Aaron raised her voice, saying, I just need to improve enough for you to acknowledge me, right? Then Aaron pointed at Saiyan with a lively expression and declared, just wait. I don't know when, but I will become so strong that you can't ignore me anymore. I'm looking forward to it. Saiyan replied, feeling somewhat relieved inside. She recovered quickly. After all, she's still just a kid. Enough chatting. Aaron understood and didn't bother Saiyan to rest anymore. One more thing, thanks for still being alive, really. Saying that, Aaron turned and left. A few days later, behind the camp at the forest edge in the dark night, a figure sneaked around looking cautiously. After confirming no one was around, he pulled a cube from his pocket. Not much left. The mysterious man muttered while activating the cube. At that moment, a childish voice sounded, it's you. Renan Crimson felt something unusual. His body suddenly couldn't move as if bound by invisible chains. A small spatial box with magical aura around it had expanded. An artifact that can create a dimension and has enough mana with infinite capacity. It's a masterpiece of the Garam Kingdom Mage Association, right? The mysterious person gradually approached Renan, then used magic to snatch the spatial box from Renan's hand. I've been observing it for a year because I had a feeling someone from the Empire was smuggling it, so that's how you did it. I will take this. Renan Crimson, a 7-star mage knight of Garam Kingdom, the mysterious person took off his hood. Saiyan was shocked and shouted, Why are you here? Saiyan didn't answer immediately, but emptied the contents of the spatial box to check. I thought you extracted blood from the corpse of the demon beast and brought it to the supply cart to smuggle. Saiyan lifted a demon beast claw to examine. It was still fresh, thinking to himself, then concluded that there seems to be a spy who helped you inside the supply department of this box. What are you talking about? I don't know anything. Renan panicked and denied the accusation. Don't pretend their blood has already been sold on the black market. Saiyan thought back to the last time Alice helped get demon dog blood. It seemed Alice obtained it through him. Saiyan looked at various demon beast parts, just taken out from the spatial box. Ignoring their freshness, they were too big to eat. So who betrayed? Besides, I can't let him go. I don't know how he controlled me, but I can slowly move now. Renan took advantage of Saiyan's attention on the items to secretly dispel the control spell. If you let your guard down, you'll die, kid. Saying that, Renan used the dragon's breath skill, aiming straight at Saiyan. Luckily, it didn't hit. So the rumors about it are true, losing the precious spatial box now. Unexpectedly, this happened during transport. Renan sat aside, regretting, when suddenly a beam of light flashed and cut off his right hand. My hand, Renan shouted in pain, then tightly held his injured arm, cautiously looking around. What is this black smoke? Seeing Saiyan stepping out of the flames unharmed, surrounded by black mist, Renan seemed to realize something. But before he could say anything, Saiyan approached, grabbed his neck threateningly, and said, tell me the smuggling route and the spy's name and leave peacefully, or leave in pain until, even if it increases, I must pity you. The next day at the Western Valius exchange point, 2 smugglers were loading a newly received shipment onto a horse-drawn carriage. 2 crates. We'll get a little more this time. How much is this crate worth? One of them eagerly opened the remaining chest, then was horrified to find Rena's severed head inside. Sean stood from afar watching the 2 smugglers. Aren't you going to do anything to them? Karam asked. Yeah, a warning is enough, Saiyan replied. The 7-star mage knight of the Garam Kingdom, Renan Crimson, has been smuggling demon beast blood from the front line behind the U-ship Empire. The smuggled items are all taken from the Garam Kingdom's Magic Association. The Garam Kingdom Magic Association is a place where all mages obsessed with magic gather. They study the origins and foundations of magic, as well as the art of creating new magic. They are an association aimed at surpassing current human limits. They are currently creating artifacts like space boxes. They will make all kinds of crazy things with demon beast blood, that's why. Saiyan set a mission for himself to stop that. You just changed your profession from assassin to problem solver. I thought you would live for yourself, but this isn't even for you at all, Karam teased. Shut up. I just don't want anyone else to use demon beast blood. In another development, news that Sayan went to the front line with his father reached Archer, so he decided to visit him once. What his purpose was, only God knows. After some time at the front line, Sayan finally had to return to prepare to go back to school. The happiest person was Emily, who cheerfully packed her luggage. Dreaming of a rosy life at the academy, I'm so excited. The academy will definitely be better than this terrible frontline, right? Sayan smiled bitterly and replied, Yeah, for me it will be the beginning of a new hell. The academy was nothing like Emily expected. In fact, it was a place full of schemes with all kinds of intertwined political interests. It was a place where people made friends, but jealousy and envy were rampant. And networking was more important than studying. I heard there are many handsome teachers at the academy. Oh my God, what should I do? Could I possibly find new love? Hey, is she planning to go to the academy with me? Sayan looked at Emily's silly expression and shook his head in dismay. A few days later, Sayan returned to the Duke's mansion. Everything was still the same except for people's attitudes toward him. For example, when Grants accidentally met Sayan on the road, before Sayan could greet him, Grants trembled in fear and ran away begging for his life. The servants who used to despise Sayan and wouldn't even glance at him now showed respect and bowed. Just like when the formula or that bastard came. Only 1 year had passed, but many things changed. The effort was worth it. Sayan thought then went back to his room. As the door slightly opened, a burst of aura rushed out, making Sayan stunned. I know this aura. The aura makes me tremble so much. That's right behind that door is that bastard. Seeing Sayan, Afro smiled brightly. Long time no see, Sayan. Seeing Sayan not respond but widen his eyes looking at him, Afro laughed and said, Don't you remember me? That's understandable. Because the last time I saw you was before I enrolled in the academy. I must stay calm, stay calm. How can I keep calm? Now, just as Sayan silently pulled out the demon sword to kill Afro, Karam used telepathy to remind him, if you don't want your head crushed, snap out of it. Killing him won't benefit you anyway, right? Karam's words gradually brought Sayan's reason back. He closed his eyes, tried to suppress his emotions, then bowed to Archer, the youngest son of the Vought family. Hello, eldest brother. So you still remember me. Being your younger brother, how could I forget your face? I was worried whether you would remember me. But luckily, Afro patted Sayan's head, then approached the window frame. I heard your swordsmanship has improved a lot. One day you will be able to help the Vought family. No, you will be able to help me and dominate the battlefield. Yes, I'm really looking forward to that day, eldest brother. Sean tried to speak as naturally as possible, but still couldn't hide it. But using a gaze as if wanting to devour me alive when I caught that look from my younger brother, I was silent for a moment, then opened my mouth and said, hearing you say that I feel relieved, because the only reason I came here was to see you. He is the type of person who won't bother looking at others if he considers them useless to him. Now that I have realized his intention, I become calm and rational. Strange intelligence, I thought to myself. Sayan smiled and replied, I also want to see you, big brother. Honestly, he doesn't have that much luggage. Is it really so hard to help me carry them? Yes. So tired, Emily carried the luggage and placed it in front of the room door. Sayan was standing panting from exhaustion when suddenly the door opened. Young master, how could you leave alone like that? Emily looked angry and criticized Sayan, but when she saw the person pushing the door open was not Sayan, but Afro, she couldn't help but be scared. Young master, I heard you are very close to Sayan, and it seems the relationship between you two is really good. Just continue with your work. Afro smiled and said, then left. Yes, ma'am, Emily replied humbly. After Afro disappeared, she turned to scold Sean. I thought I would die from stress because of this young master. If he was coming, he should have informed me beforehand. Emily, can you go outside for a bit? It's okay, but don't make me repeat it a second time. Seeing Sayan's scary expression, Emily immediately obediently left the room. As soon as she left, Sayan crawled into the bathroom and vomited violently. After finishing, he turned to blame Karam. Why did you stop me? Shouldn't you have thanked me first? That was also an opportunity for you, and the moment I collapsed was the perfect chance for you to take over my body. Don't misunderstand, I simply wanted your rage to grow even stronger. That makes it even better, Sayan smirked. Yeah, that's more like you somewhere else. As soon as Afro returned to his room, his subordinate came to report. I have followed your orders and identified the location of the two young ladies. The girl is confirmed to be in the northern continent, the land of the White Spirit, Brina Ruina. Unexpectedly, the girl is living among a race that hates outsiders. This also shows how great her attraction is. If there are signs that she will return to the Empire, report to me. Understood. The subordinate accepted the order then. Seeing Archer's bright expression, he boldly asked, "Did something happen to make you so cheerful? Why do you think so? Because you look much happier than usual. Was your meeting with your brother that interesting?" "Ha ha, interesting, huh? I see that can be understood that way." Saying this, the smile on the crime boss's lips vanished. His cold eyes looked at the subordinate. "You're wrong. My mood is actually very bad." Seeing that the subordinate quickly bowed in fear and said, "Please forgive me for not recognizing your mood." Recalling Sayan's gaze made the crime boss somewhat troubled. Those eyes. It's as if they encountered an enemy. Did I misunderstand? Indeed, there are many things to worry about regarding that boy. I will observe him carefully so he won't go astray. The subordinate understood and replied, "Yes, I will assign someone to follow the young master. Then I'll take my leave." Saying that, he left. In an instant, only Acho was left in the room with many questions in his heart. What exactly is my beloved younger brother hiding? The next morning, young master, how could you do that? Emily frowned and questioned Sean. I'm helpless too. Although I want to, the academy doesn't allow bringing extra servants. If I go there, I'm stuck. You knew that, so why didn't you tell me, young master, waiting until the last moment to say it? How can I accept that? Sayan waved his hand. Fine, just leave it at that. You stay in the family, don't cause any trouble, okay? We'll figure things out later. Young master, don't worry. The one I'm worried about is you. Don't cause trouble at the academy. Of course I'm not a child. Sayan smirked and then ordered the entourage. All right, let's go, everyone. Young master, remember, don't forget. Indeed, so careless just said it and left immediately. Be careful at the academy, young master. Don't cause trouble or let anyone bully you. If there is, tell me. You must study well. Then come back to the family. Emily shouted while sobbing, reminding Sayan. Sayan felt a bit helpless, thinking luckily she agreed to stay in the family, otherwise it would be troublesome. Suddenly, Sayan remembered the time when he was 8 years old. It was raining heavily. He had a high fever, lying unconscious, not knowing anything, and no one in the family cared about him. Only Emily, despite the stormy weather, carried him on her back all night, running around the city, knocking on every doctor's door to seek help for his illness. If it weren't for her during that difficult time, Sayan might have withered away alone in his room without anyone knowing. So he didn't see Emily as a servant, but regarded her as a true family member. That's why Sayan always tolerated Emily's somewhat rude actions and words. It's okay, don't worry. I promise to find a way to send you to the academy in the family estate, so don't worry about anything. If anything happens, I will write to you. Sean stuck his head out the window, turned back, and said to Emily. Emily waved her hand and smiled brightly. All right, young master, rest assured. I will behave and wait here for your good news. Sean nodded and smiled. As soon as he got back into the carriage, his attitude changed. Now that one task was done, but it was quite strange to think about. Why did the family send 6 knights to escort me to the academy? Although I am the Duke's son, I have no status in the family to be escorted like this. This trip to the academy will be quite complicated. There are many things I cannot predict. However, it is also something to look forward to. The convoy continued moving until dusk fell. The knights signaled to each other and stopped. One approached Sayan's carriage to report. It seems we will camp here tonight. Yes, young master, everyone is tired, so let's rest here. How far have we traveled from the family estate? We have already covered a long distance. Young master, to be honest, we have nearly reached the center of the Saffron territory. We estimate we will enter the city in that territory by tomorrow afternoon. All right, keep going like this. Everyone rest and regain strength. Report to me if anything happens. Sean calmly replied, feeling even more cautious. They lied again. As far as I know, there is no forest near the Saffron territory. They think I am young and have never been there. So they thought they had fooled me. Sayan looked around and guessed they had deviated slightly outside the border. That's why there were so many dense forests here. I don't understand why they brought me to this gloomy forest to rest and camp. What is their purpose? A while later, the knight from before came back and said to Sayan, Young master, the camp is set up. The fire is lit. Young master, you can get off the carriage now. Sean responded, then slowly stepped down, deliberately asking, It's quiet and the air is fresh here in the forest, isn't it? But why do you surround my carriage like this? Who sent you to escort me like this? The knights remained silent, then one of them laughed. Sayan stopped pretending his face bloodthirsty as he said word by word, I'm asking who is behind the order for you to do this. A young master is perceptive. But someone about to die like you doesn't need to know this. The knight sneered simultaneously, drawing his sword from its sheath. No matter what you ask, it's useless. Our job is to follow orders from above whether we want to or not. With the honor of a knight, we promise not to let you die painfully, but will take you to the other world as quickly as possible. If you have questions, ask them in the afterlife. Several other knights joined in, then simultaneously drew their weapons and advanced towards Saiyan. All you need to do now is stand still. Everything will be over soon. Enough talk now, goodbye. The knight swung his weapon towards Saiyan's neck, but not only did he fail to kill Saiyan, he was beheaded by Saiyan, much to everyone's astonishment. You guys are done for now that one of you is dead. You should be afraid and answer my questions. Saiyan held the demon's sword in his hand, threatening the knights. The previous scene, combined with Saiyan's current appearance, scared them into silence. If you remain silent, the only outcome will be death. Saiyan lost patience and said, I can't believe a kid can act so decisively and powerfully. Brian, one of Saiyan's escort knights, had been standing aside watching his teammates fight, confused at this moment. A knight suddenly rushed up to attack Saiyan from behind, but Saiyan easily dodged and then used extremely high speed to circle around him, slashing a few basic strikes. Causing the knight to die, the other knights saw this and immediately fled, but all were dealt with by Saiyan, leaving only Brian alive, which seemed impossible. A kid only 11 years old, yet how could he be so strong and cold-blooded with him like this? No wonder he survived the battlefield after being taken by that dragon to the demon tribe's territory. This mission is surely going to fail. We were too complacent, not thinking that he would be so terrifying from the start. Everything was not as smooth as I thought. Sean approached Brian, who was scared to tears. That one opened his mouth to threaten, and you stopped that. No matter what Brian hurriedly confessed, Young Master, this matter was ordered by the Duchess Lady Margaret, who commanded us to take you into the forest. Then silently assassinate you. Saiyan silently looked at Brian's extremely terrified expression. This guy is really a coward. But it's understandable. His teammates have all died. If he doesn't confess, he will have to follow them anyway. And after that, Brian reluctantly became the carriage driver and knight escorting the carriage to the academy. On the way, he voluntarily told everything he knew about the lady's actions. According to what I know in the clan, rumors have recently spread a lot. I don't know if you have heard them yet. Young Master Grangewood, after being too scared of you, requested Lady Margaret to do something. As I guess this action of the lady was following the young Master Grangewood's suggestion to eliminate future threats to the young master. So it was because of that guy. No wonder after that trial he kept running away like avoiding a curse. Next time when I return to the clan and meet him, I will continue to punish him properly. While Saiyan was lost in thought, Brian timidly asked young Master, What do you intend to do with me? Please spare my life. I have told you everything. Everything I did was only under orders from above. Saiyan glanced at him. You seem to have lost all will, huh? But at least you still want to live. Anyway, it's hard for me to return to the clan without completing the mission. Now, whatever the young master does, I have to accept it. What can I do? The assassination of the young master, although I followed orders from above, is still my fault. All right, leave that matter for later. Now I need a personal attendant. You just keep driving the carriage. Whether you live or die, I already know what you did. Later I will see your attitude and then decide. After the carriage, and calmly replied, adding inwardly, Looking at you so cowardly. I don't understand how you can be a knight, but you handle the carriage well. Brian was so happy he nearly cried looking at Saiyan. Thank you for not punishing me, young master. Saiyan flicked his chin. Looks like we've arrived. In the central city of Safarin, in another development, news about Saiyan finally reached Lady Margaret, making her both angry and fearful. What the hell failed already? All the knights were sold out. How could that be? There's still one person not found, and he disappeared too. Yes, madam. Young Master Saiyan arrived in the central city of Safarin last week, the steward replied. Those 7 bodyguards tried to assassinate a kid but failed. How can this be believed? This is truly beyond my imagination. Margaret could not hide her fear and exclaimed, We seem to have underestimated young Master Saiyan. He is still young, but his strength is truly too great. Margaret then shouted, It's because you told me to do this. That kid is just a little boy. How could he be so strong? We even sent 7 knights to accompany him. The steward nodded in agreement, saying, This matter is my subordinate's fault. But my subordinate suspects that some force helped the young master. I beg madam to give me one more chance this time. I will not be so careless again. The matter at the academy will surely succeed. Since things are like this, then forget it. If we keep trying and fail again, everything will get out of control. He might be pushed to the brink. Doing things that are unimaginable to me and the Grangeford lady wants to mess with me, then be careful for yourself and that lady's child. What I do, madam, will never be able to imagine. Remember the eyes and a few threats from Sayan before. Making Margaret have to use herself, this matter ends here for now. Don't exaggerate anymore, or it will be quite troublesome. Furthermore, this news must not be told to anyone, understood. It's quite important, therefore. Those involved in this matter handle it smoothly. Margaret ordered the butler without knowing that their conversation had been eavesdropped on by Archer's agent standing outside, returning to Sayan a few days after leaving the central city of Safaran. Sayan successfully arrived at the academy of this prosperous city of Fusam, reminding him of many past events. With memories that once caused him much pain, but in this academy, many things changed his life in a more positive direction. I am Sayan, a member of the Fote Den family as scheduled before. Sayan spoke while presenting the family badge. The staff at the reception desk were somewhat hesitant. Then the receptionist guided Sayan, "Yes, sir, everything has been arranged properly. Sir, please follow me. Now your task is just to register at the dormitory. You can rest there temporarily. In a few days, there will be an opening ceremony and an entrance-level test for the students registering this term." The unnatural gestures and attitude of the staff made Sayan a bit confused, but he didn't care. The receptionist handed over a box containing the room key and an envelope to Sayan. "Oh, my young master, this room looks so luxurious." Brian gaped at the huge room in front of him. "Is this a room for royalty? What kind of dormitory is this so intimidating?" Previously, no students enrolling in the academy had ever stayed temporarily in such a royal room. Even my older brother, that bastard, never had this. Surely someone is behind this. Thinking silently, Sayan turned to ask Brian, "Have you brought all my belongings up here already?" "Yes, everything has been brought up, sir." "Young master, rest assured. Finally, I can enroll with peace of mind. Now it's just waiting for the entrance exam. Therefore, thank you, Brian, but your journey ends here." As he spoke, Sayan put his hand into his jacket pocket as if preparing to pull something out. Brian was scared by this action and hurriedly said, "Please spare me, young master, don't kill me," when a large bag of gold coins fell into Brian's hands, leaving him stunned. "That is your payment. Take that money and run away. Don't ever come back to the family. With that money, you can live a different life. Listen to me and don't come near the family's territory again. If that lady finds you alive, you're definitely dead. You understand what I mean, right?" Brian was silent for a moment, then knelt down and kowtowed, swearing allegiance. Brian Carrick, a knight who was knighted now thanks to the young master's mercy, can still live until now. "I hope young master will have mercy and show it to the end. Please allow me to serve you even if later there are any hard tasks. Young master, please command me." "I will not refuse to sacrifice." Sayan looked at Brian with a judging eye and said, "It sounds good, but you are a knight. My inner self says your strength is still too weak." Brian was a bit embarrassed and replied, "I am a knight, yes, but because I lack experience and my skills are still poor, I still only do lowly tasks compared to other knights. But deep inside, I always remember my father's words, if later I meet a master who sincerely treats me well, I can trust that person. Then I will resolutely follow that person wholeheartedly. Even if I sacrifice, I will not regret it. My loyalty now is directed to the young master. Please allow me to serve you. Do you really think I am sincere? It seems you still don't have enough experience, Brian. Your action needs to be considered carefully. Why do you think following me will be what you expect? If later I bring you into the jaws of death, will you resent me?" Brian was scared by Sayan's cold gaze, but still resolutely replied, "I have been loyal to the young master, so no matter what happens later, the subordinate will not regret it either." Knowing this, Sayan patted Brian on the shoulder and told him to listen to the situation outside the Great Hall. If there is any problem at the academy, report back to me. I am not interested in the academy's opening ceremony. Perhaps I will only appear when the entrance exam takes place. The entrance exam for the students has just ended. Kunal Kuso, the academy principal, and lecturer Siri Kanichiti are discussing the exam results together. It truly was a high-quality entrance exam, which I did not expect. This time, many talented students from all over the Empire have joined the academy. Hopefully, the Empire's future will be as bright as this new generation. Kunal is satisfied as he looks at the results of one of the two most outstanding students in this enrollment batch. Arin Severus, Magic Level 2. Mana Power Level B, Saintly Aptitude 52%. Kwang Huang Caesar Hakan, Magic Level 3. Mana Power Level A, Saintly Aptitude 53% Earth Power. At first glance, these two students truly have extraordinary aptitude, but there is also another quite special student named Sean Vert, this kid. Kunal hesitates a bit as he looks at Sean's results: Magic Level 1, Mana Power Level S, Saintly Aptitude, 92% Dark Mana. Siri agrees, saying that they did not expect him to have such a remarkably different aptitude. The best student to graduate from our academy before was Alice. First, a person with exceptional aptitude and intelligence known as a prodigy in her youth. At graduation, her saintly aptitude was only 88%. Indeed, this family always produces extraordinary talents. We thought no one after Alice could match her, but no. This time, a new talent has appeared, her younger brother. Truly a talent worthy of attention and training. However, one thing to note about this kid is that his aptitude is dark type. Yes, with this aptitude, his strength and agility are unquestionable. But if he cannot control this dark power, he might follow a path of evil later. Do you know why this kid so young was sent to the Royal Academy? We do not. There are many rumors, but as far as I know, he was sent to this academy by the Emperor himself. After the campaign on the border with the demon tribe, the Emperor witnessed his power firsthand. Moreover, he saved the princess from monsters, so the Emperor considers him a suitable match for his little princess, and cares deeply about this kid. From this, we can see the future. If the 5 princesses who were considered incapable of competing for the throne and thought to have no talent are betrothed to a rare talented person from a duke's family, this will lead to unpredictable changes in the future for the princess, as well as for our empire. Siri speculates this is understandable. A powerless princess always considered weak in the power struggle will become a person with potential. The battle for the throne will become even fiercer. This may cause our empire to be in constant turmoil with civilians and soldiers shedding blood endlessly. Now that it has come to this, we just have to accept it. This is the Emperor's decision. We cannot intervene. We cannot predict the future. What we can do is just observe the situation. Let time prove and answer whether this boy can combine with the princess to create a new force, or if he will perish in this brutal royal power struggle. Elsewhere, the exam results also surprised Saiyan 92%. He did not expect such a big increase. In his previous life after the entrance exam, his aptitude was only about 80% saintly aptitude. It seems this is very different now. This increase in aptitude is probably because I drank too much monster blood, so my physique has improved significantly. At this moment, Saiyan spotted Grenz and his friend. Grenz saw Saiyan and looked at him as if seeing a demon, terrified to the extreme, shouting, "What the hell is this bastard?" He must have thought I was dead in the forest, which explains his shock. At this moment, the fat guy next to Grenz spoke up, asking, "Who is this kid? In our family, you treated him like a servant and gave him many lessons in swordsmanship duels, right?" Grenz lied a bit too much, so now he has to keep lying. "Yes, that kid is my younger brother, a weak kid named Saiyan. That kid seems to have just joined the academy." "So there are many things still unknown, huh? I heard you don't even know who your mother is, right?" Saiyan knows this fat guy. He is the son of Marquis Fennel from the Gampop Fennel Duchy. In his previous life, he was truly your nightmare. He and his friends constantly tormented you. Throughout the time you studied at the academy, this time it was really lucky to encounter both of those scoundrels here. Pop didn't know who he was facing and only believed Gran's lies, so he started bullying. It seems this kid just arrived at the academy. We need to teach him a lesson, to make him behave a little better, right? Pop patted Gran's shoulder and then approached Saiyan. Ren, seeing this, fearfully advised, "Pop, wait, he may be weak, but you need to be careful." "All right, leave it be. Don't be afraid. Since we've met here, we should get to know each other a bit." Ren still didn't dare to speak the truth and continued trying to persuade. "I think we should go. We can tell him later. It's time to eat now." As soon as he finished speaking, Bob was kicked by Saiyan, who lifted him with one kick to settle the matter. Then Saiyan turned to friends and said, "Let's have a little talk, shall we, friends?" Grenz's eyes were now filled with tears, his face fearful and trembling as he asked, "Oh, what is it?" Sean stepped forward, placed a hand on Grenz's shoulder, smiled wickedly, and whispered a warning in his ear. "I don't care what you're plotting, but I'm very kind. You've seen that already. But if you dare touch me again, you won't graduate intact with all your bones connected." With that, Saiyan left smugly. Inside, you were full of anticipation, thinking that from now on, life at the academy would be very interesting. Behind you, friends seemed drained of all strength and collapsed on the ground. A while later, in a corner of the library, whether he's a disaster or a hero in the future, I should keep an eye on that student named Saiyan. Lost in thought, Sharika went to a bookshelf and reached out to take something. "Is it not here?" Just as Sharika was surprised not to find the book she needed, Saiyan appeared behind her. Holding a book, he spoke. "Are you looking for this?" Sharika was startled by Saiyan's sudden appearance. "I couldn't sense your presence." However, she quickly hid her feelings, turned around and smiled, saying, "Ah, how did you get in here? This is a restricted area." Then Sharika pointed to the book in Saiyan's hand and asked, "Your name is Saiyan, right?" Could you return that book to me? I need it for research. Saiyan smiled and replied, Oh, you mean this one? Of course I have to return it to you. Then, silently, he took out a black object from the book and handed it to Sharika. Sharika reached out to accept it. Thank you, Saiyan. Before Sharika could finish speaking, she suddenly stopped. Seeing what Saiyan gave her, she was startled. Suddenly, Saiyan sensed danger approaching. Something was thrusting straight toward his head. Saiyan quickly retreated backward. Successfully dodging the attack, the book was heavily damaged, pages flying everywhere in the air. Saiyan, with a cautious expression, smiled and said, Weren't you looking for it? Instructor Sirika, the leader of the Assassin Guild, Miss Sirika Nickety. Sirika, holding a weapon in one hand and the black object in the other, stared sharply at Saiyan and questioned, Who are you? How did you find this? Looking at Sirika standing in front of him now, Saiyan suddenly recalled the image from his previous life, Sirika, then smiled kindly and asked with concern, How was your life at the academy? Saiyan was silent and didn't answer. Seeing this, Sirika smiled again and said, I know you want to quickly end this boring conversation, but face-to-face interaction is very important for a student's development. Saiyan's face was full of gloom as he opened his mouth. I don't care, and neither does Sharika, so give up. She sat down opposite Saiyan and said, Actually, I'm quite interested in you. Saiyan was very surprised by Sirika's words. The gloom on his face gradually faded. Sirika continued, An abnormal amount of dark elements at 84% is quite rare. Saiyan hesitated and said, But they say that element has no special properties. Sirika smiled and explained, That's because there are many aspects humanity still doesn't fully understand about dark elements. On the contrary, I think your potential is limitless. I wish you success in the future. Saiyan returned to the present and looked at Sirika again silently, thinking about his first impression of the instructor in his previous life. Sirika was quite ordinary, expecting development from him, while all he received was bullying from that damn older brother. Everything at the academy back then felt like a joke. I have been enlightened with many mixed emotions. If she understood Thuk's dark nature like that, could she lead me? I was mistaken at that time, but I was deceived. Never let the friendly, smiling face behind those glasses fool the Royal Academy instructor. It's just her disguise. Her true identity is an assassin. She is one of the leaders of the Assassin Guild, blending into the academy where many noble children from 6 regions gather. At that moment, Sharika smiled and retracted her weapon. Good, you will hear more details about this in the laboratory. Follow me, and before we go clean up that messy pile of books. Saying that, Sharika turned and left. Saiyan was stunned, silently doubting in his mind how she could remain so calm after what he said. After a while, Saiyan also went to the laboratory. He looked around once and sighed silently that this place was still the same. Then Saiyan sat down opposite Sharika, naturally picked up the cup of tea she had prepared for him, took a sip and smiled, asking, Did you poison the tea? In his heart, he thought no wonder she was so indifferent. Sharika laughed and replied, It won't kill you, so don't worry. That amount is just enough to melt a little of your internal organs. Hearing that Saiyan's face still showed no sign of fear. On the contrary, he smirked slightly, thinking that it wouldn't work because he had already tried drinking blood from countless demons and poisons created by Emily. Silently thinking, Saiyan's eyes sharpened as he looked at Sharika and suggested, Hopefully next time you'll increase the dosage. Sharika withdrew her smile and opened her mouth. So can we start our conversation now? How do you know my identity? Moreover, you even know the exact location of the Mist Organization's directive hidden among the little-known books in the library. Or do you want to say beforehand that, I am also part of the Mist Guild, Saiyan asked back. Do I need to prove anything else? Hearing this, Sharika bared her teeth in a mocking smile. How you think your dark elemental value is high and bragging? The kid Saiyan was not offended. He calmly said, On the way to Satan, everyone asked me if I was really okay bringing only one knight along. Although throughout the journey he was just a driver. I heard recently noble descendants enrolling keep dropping dead on the way. Since when did the purification process start? Sharika's aura suddenly erupted. Her eyes containing sharp energy locked onto Saiyan and said, Purification process, I don't understand what you're talking about. Saiyan did not back down either. He unleashed his own aura to confront Sharika and smiled. Isn't that usually related to the Mist Assassination Organization? Sharika threatened. You will regret the things you just spat out. Saiyan coldly laughed in response. Are you threatening a student? Sharika said no more and kicked the table toward Saiyan. So you plan to play this way? Saiyan asked while punching the table, breaking it into 2 halves. Meanwhile, Sharika took advantage of the moment the table blocked Cyan's view and flipped once, appearing above his head. In her hands were two sharp weapons. Cyan seemed to have guessed Sharika's action. His face unchanged, he glanced at her and said, "I thought you already proved your identity. Even if you really are a mist, you are one of the leaders of the organization. I know most of the faces of all other mists," Sharika said, then swooped down. Crossing her arms, she slashed toward Cyan. Cyan jumped back to dodge. Sharika immediately chased after him, laughing. "You can't escape! You've run out of ways!" Then she sighed softly. Cyan decided to summon the demon sword Karam and swung a strike to block Sharika's attack. Sharika was startled looking at the weapon in Cyan's hand. "If you don't believe me, I will have to prove it." Finishing her words, Cyan seriously launched an attack. Sharika passively blocked several strikes from Cyan, then quickly retreated and shouted, "Wait! That sword could it be? A weapon that can only be used by those chosen by ERO, the demon sword Karam," Cyan asked. Finally, she admitted, "Yes. Right now, the organization is also searching for the heir to their power right." Sharika frowned in disbelief at Cyan. Cyan smiled and said, "Look here. The heir you are looking for is here. Take me to meet Erodi." A moment later, Sharika took Cyan to a house in an alley in Lewin. After casting a spell to open the door, Sharika couldn't help but ask Cyan, "The person showing indifference to what is happening before me is not surprised that the base of the Mist Assassin organization is located in a place like this. Why does Cyan not respond?" Sharika also doesn't ask anything further but gives directions that this is the entrance to the chapel I want to go to. From now on, I will have to walk by myself. Cyan does not hesitate to step through the door. This place is an independent space created by the power of the god of dust, so it is much larger than it looks from the outside. 2 throwing daggers at 4 o'clock direction, 3 throwing daggers at 11 o'clock direction attack simultaneously. Thinking silently, Xian lightly passed the first trap. I knew it wouldn't be normal, but didn't expect it to be this intense. Isn't that a bit too much? Xian quickly jumped back to avoid the sudden attack from 4 assassins afterward. Continuously dodging the blades of one approaching assassin, he even used them to counterattack, making the other assassin's hand tremble in astonishment. He blocked it, my dagger, in just that short moment. That's amazing. Right after that, the assassins used secret techniques to attack, signaling death from all 4 directions, simultaneously charging at Cyan. Cyan did not hesitate and gathered mana to use the secret technique to counterattack. No way a kid like him can use that technique. While the assassins were still shocked, Cyan continued to use the Blood Tide, a high-level secret technique of the top assassins in the organization, allowing the user to convert bloodlust into physical attacks. I can't breathe. One assassin tried to resist, but eventually collapsed unconscious like his 2 comrades. They will be out for quite a while. There is still one assassin not defeated yet. Is he a senior assassin? Thinking silently, Cyan used the Dust Sword skill, but as he was executing the technique, the unshakable roots of the great tree were disrupted by the assassin charging forward, directly affecting and interrupting Cyan's technique. At this moment, Cyan raised his sword to block the assassin's sudden attack while wondering who he really was. "Looks like you've mastered assassin skills, huh? Then I won't hold back anymore." Cyan versus the assassin's mask fell, revealing his face, causing Cyan to freeze for 5 seconds because that assassin, no one else but the Lord Sirika. "Show me your true power." Sharika, with an excited expression, said. Cyan immediately used the 8th bone chain technique, continuous slash, to meet Sharika's request. Sharika reacted quickly, continuously blocking Cyan's techniques, then with an even more disdainful look said, "You've mastered bone chain and dust sword, huh? You're getting more interesting every day. Show me how great your potential is." Before Sirika finished speaking, Cyan grabbed his pants and ran away. The fighting spirit is what affects Sirika, making the Lord immersed in the desire to fight. She will want to fight to the death with her opponent. Anyone who has fought her will understand, so I need to escape immediately and come back here. Cyan offered wine but didn't drink. "Want to drink penalty wine?" Sharika said while chasing after Cyan. As soon as she caught up, she used the Dust Sword Miststorm technique to attack Cyan. Cyan blocked Sharika's attack. Internally responding, "I don't have the fighting desire like her. This space was created by ERO. Outside won't detect your aura. So no need to worry. That's right, I can unleash all my power here. I'm strong enough to eliminate her." But as Cyan unleashed his power intending to fight seriously, he suddenly froze and collapsed to the ground in Sharika's confused gaze. "I know you can rest now." Karam escaped from Cyan's grasp and slowly transformed into human form. She said, "I don't want to say much, you know who I am, right?" Sharika immediately knelt and saluted. Yes, sir, you are the demon sword, Karam. What is the current situation? You also worship ERU, but now you attack my master. I was just testing if he's as strong as rumored to see if he really is the chosen one. The answer displeased Karam. She unleashed her power and shouted, then why didn't you call your master out from the start if you were going to do this? I will take that as a challenge. Sharika laughed and replied, I think we should care about that kid first. What Karam immediately turned back to look at Cyan, then found him coughing up blood lying sprawled on the ground. How can you look like you're about to die? Sharika explained the Lord has appeared with his avatar. But at that time it will have a side effect. It will corrode the life of the host. Karam grabbed Cyan's collar arrogantly and said this. How much influence could it possibly have? You just drank a whole bunch of beast blood. At this moment, Sirika continued to speak. I am Lord Sirika, nicknamed City of the Mist Assassin Organization, never refusing any fight. Moreover, if you are my opponent, I absolutely cannot refuse. Seeing Sirika's craving expression made Karam also have to use himself. What the hell is wrong with me? I feel a little scared already, let me go, Cyan said while pushing Karam's hand off his collar. Oh, you're still alive. Cyan did not answer, but asked irritably, why did you suddenly manifest step back so I can teach that girl a lesson? It's truly an honor to fight you, Karam. Hearing that, Karam became even more annoyed. Don't whine and beg because you're going to get beaten by me. I also hope you can push me to that point. Just as the two big sisters were about to rush at each other, a voice echoed in the space, Enough, Lord ERU. A spatial gate was opened, then ERU ordered to bring the chosen one to the altar. Yes, Lord Sharika, kneeling to respond. Cyan secretly rejoiced in his heart. Finally, I get to meet ERU, the Lord of Darkness. Everyone says the Dark God is very evil. The Dark God skewers people without hesitation and justifies it as an act for others' benefit. He replied that this is exactly what they want. Others cannot decide right or wrong for you. If death can help you protect your own justice, then that is enough. Everyone says this way of thinking is crazy, but Cyan wants to tell them that this God only wants to protect the weak. He is a foolish God. Returning to reality, Cyan stepped through the spatial gate to meet the dark god ERU. ERU sat cross-legged on a chair, and when he saw Cyan enter, he immediately asked, Do you know who I am? Of course, dark god ERU. Your name is Cyanberg, right? I have never met you before. Do you have any proof to claim you are my heir? Surely you have felt the power of the mist inside me. There are two ways to become the heir. The first is that I personally give you the mist stone. The second way is when the mist stone finds a qualified person by itself. I don't know who you are, so I think this is the second situation. Actually, the mist stone should have been at the altar, but suddenly disappeared last year. Above all, I didn't expect you could awaken Karam when I couldn't even find her. You control her quite well. Hearing that, Karam immediately argued, who controls whom, huh? You ignored and continued speaking to Cyan with those eyes. The light emitted from them does not suit your age at all. ERU looked at Cyan for a moment, then exclaimed with interest, so that's it. You are a stranger from a timeline I do not know. You don't know me. Cyan thought suspiciously and asked, I thought you were related to why I am here. If you want to meet an omnipotent God who understands everything, then you have come to the wrong place. I am not strong at all. My status as a god was taken away long ago. He is right. I shouldn't have expected anything, Cyan thought, but this is quite beneficial for me. Cyan didn't understand and asked, What are you talking about? ERU explained a perfect heir has come here by himself. Now I have less work to do. I don't have to lift a finger anymore. Cyan looked at ERU with silent contempt. He really is still lazy like that. By the way, you brought something quite troublesome. ERU looked at the hilt of the holy sword piercing through Cyan's cloak. You already have the demon sword, yet you are still not satisfied. You intend to seize the power of the holy sword as well. For now, I don't intend to do anything. I just think that... Cyan pulled out the sword hilt and smiled fiercely, saying, If the world doesn't know the existence of this thing, then maybe it will become useless. Your hobby is really intense, huh? Well, I won't ask anymore. Anyway, it doesn't concern me, but I will abide by the rules. As your supreme god, I will ask you this question. ERU raised his hand high, gathering a stream of dark mana, then asked, O heir who has received my power, what will you do with this power? In his previous life, Cyan was asked a similar question. At that time, he answered, I will live for my brother. It was a foolish answer, but they didn't care about the answer. Why was it like that in my previous life? Don't I also have something that I desire myself? Cyan recalled that at that time, ERU said to remember that nothing is more dangerous than blind faith. Perhaps ERU had foreseen his miserable fate this time and was determined to be different. Thinking of this, Xian took a step forward and firmly replied that he had no grand plans. For example, no noble purpose or sacred belief. I will only use your power for my personal goals, just for myself. Right or wrong is up to you to decide. Are you confident you won't regret it? You better answer carefully. Based on your answer, I could deal with you right here. Seon was not afraid and answered regardless of the consequences of my actions. I don't care. I will not obey anyone's orders. That is the path I will take. Are you looking very interested? Asked, so it seems you already have a plan. Can you tell me about it or not? Seon bluntly replied, well, it doesn't really matter as long as you clear my name, okay? I won't ask you any more questions. You're quite boring. Then now I will talk with my daughter, Eru said, escaping and approaching Karam, pinching her cheek while coaxing like a child, saying, you have changed quite a lot, haven't you? Do you like your master that much? You're such a good girl. Karam blushed and shouted, what the hell are you talking about? Seeing her like this, I am very happy, Eru said. Then Chumo approached Karam. Seeing this, Karam immediately got angry and shouted, get away from me. Eru tried to control Karam, who was dodging him like avoiding a plague. Persistently, Chumo said, stand still. I'm trying to treat you well because I have nothing to give your master, this crazy old man. Hey, master, you do something. Wow, truly the bond between father and child is touching, Sean said, then turned away, leaving Karam to fend for herself, just as Eru's seductive lips touched Karam's forehead. Then a seal appeared, and Karam transformed into a human form. Is this me having a body now? At the same time, Saiyan also felt it. Karam no longer used your mana. Eru used your power to create that body, right? Very quickly, Saiyan had the answer. Karam then angrily grabbed Eru's shirt and questioned, what did you do? I don't have much left. I only gave you a little of my vitality. So what? Don't you want it? You need to have a body to be able to XX with your master. Hearing this, Karam crazily shook Eru's body, saying, what did you just say? Foolish idiot. Eru didn't resist, but smiled widely. Xian witnessed this scene and sighed truly, like father like son. The next day at the academy dormitory, young master, Brian whispered into Xian's ear, what's going on? Xian reluctantly replied, I don't know either, just ignore it. But young Master Brian looked worried, watching Karam and Sirika with fiery eyes staring at each other passionately. I don't think this is something I can ignore. Karam twisted a lock of hair in her hand and smiled genuinely, saying, oh, wow, so early in the morning the instructor has come to see the students already. Don't you think about how others will start gossiping about how special your relationship is? Sirika calmly replied, of course. I do this to guide him on the right path. This is a completely normal relationship. A temple lord like you, shouldn't you be more careful? Whatever I do has nothing to do with you. Mind your own business. The master only needs me. You stay away from him. He is my student. Saiyan, standing aside, couldn't stand there arguing anymore and had to leave. Young master, please don't leave me here with them. Brian just opened his mouth. I overheard the two sisters talking behind and was sweating. Hey, take out your weapons and fight quickly. Oh, how could I refuse such an invitation? Leaving the academy, Saiyan went into the city center, sat on the rooftop, and looked at the city from above, feeling relieved. Finally, I can relax. Suddenly, a strong metallic blood smell hit Saiyan's nose. He looked toward the scent and saw Leximus being beaten up by 3 young men in an alley. At that moment, one of them made this suggestion. Let's try using that. His mouth. But if you're really like that, then just strike. The blonde youth smiled and then started rolling up his sleeves, creating a manosphere. Hey, look at this. Suddenly being called startled Lassimus. I brought some snacks for you. The blonde stepped forward and squeezed Lassimus's jaw, forcing him to open his mouth. Your friend made the snacks herself for you, so you have to eat. Right. The blonde smiled as if he had a good harvest, then raised his hand to prepare to put the manosphere into Lucas's mouth when a voice shouted from behind, Stop! The 3 bullies simultaneously turned their heads to look at the girl who shouted. How can you be so cruel to your classmates? Aren't you ashamed to call yourselves nobles? The blonde was a bit cautious and replied, I am Barris Louis Min from the Kingdom of Garum. Who are you? I am the princess of the Usup Empire, Aaron Severus. Upon hearing the name, Barris immediately changed his attitude and laughed mockingly, saying, I thought you were someone else, but you are just the 5th princess. Nice to meet you. Then Bears approached Aaron and extended his hand to her. I had the feeling I didn't want to shake your hand. You better explain this situation. Maybe she is misunderstanding something here. Should I ask him? Barrett smiled and turned to look at Les Miserables, urging, Tell her then. Before Lazarus could understand Barrett's meaning, he was grabbed by the collar and pulled up. Then Barrett threw his arm around his shoulder and said, Are we bullying you? Lazarus was silent for a moment, then replied, No, they are not bullying me. You don't have to hide it. Just look at me. Before Aaron could finish speaking, Lazarus interrupted, It's okay. Please help us. We were just joking around. Bears now smirked smugly and said to Aaron, You heard that right. I'm starting to feel displeased. Whatever, but he will come with me. Aaron replied firmly, then reached out to take Lassimus's hand to leave, but Bears tightly grabbed her wrist and said harshly, You have a problem, understand? Aaron squinted and asked, What do you mean by that? Didn't you hear Lassimus asking you to go? If you don't let go of my hand right now, I swear by my name. Before Aaron could finish, Barrett mocked her, She's nothing but a small, weak kid. At that moment, Seon suddenly appeared and swept his leg, causing Barrett to fall face first to the ground. Then he looked in shock at the girl who had just been bullied Lassimus. That girl is Lassimus. Lassimus Glen, the continent's #1 swordsman. She was born in the Glen Empire, but for some unknown reason. After graduating from the academy, she joined the Glen Count family in the Kingdom of Garam, and even changed her nationality. In her previous life, Seon was ordered by the Empire to assassinate her. However, after infiltrating the castle, he decided to fight Lassimus openly in a one-on-one duel. The reason was nothing special. He just didn't want to sneak around. To assassinate a person who has reached the pinnacle of swordsmanship even without mana, a person who has earned the title of the continent's #1 swordsman. Returning to reality, Barrett's friends saw him lying motionless. They hurriedly ran to help, but were pushed away by him as he stood up by himself. Why are there so many bastards today poking their noses into other people's business? You are Seon, right? I've heard about you. You just returned from the front lines, right? Do you want to join our little game? Seon silently despised the ridiculous game of using mana stones incorrectly, which could destroy the mana inside the body. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Seon replied, A game that forces others to eat mana stones. Fine, let's play. Then from Seon's hand, a mana sphere gathered and grew bigger. It grew until it reached a super-huge size. Before the horrified eyes of Barras and his gang, Seon's gaze was sharp as he said, What are you doing? Open your mouth now! A moment later, at the Academy's infirmary, the wounds on her body were almost completely healed. But she needed to lie in bed to recover from internal injuries, so she should rest for the rest of today. The gratitude ceremony said to Aaron, Thank you so much. I don't know how to repay you properly. Aaron smiled smugly and replied, Did you see how those bastards ran away with their tails between their legs when our Seon scared them? We only did what needed to be done. So there's nothing to worry about from our Seon. Which made Seon a bit displeased, but he didn't bother to care and looked at Lucius's cracked bones and mild concussion. Yet he endured it, truly shocking, just like the #1 swordsman. Seon stared at Lucius, feeling a bit awkward, and asked, Is there any chance you know me? I feel like you keep staring at me, Seon. I shrugged and replied, thinking you knew me, but you don't. Sorry if I made you uncomfortable. Lassimus shyly replied, It's nothing. Aaron looked at Seon, then at Lassimus, seeing that there was no relationship between them, so she felt relieved and asked Han Lassimus, Where is your dormitory? What if those bastards find me and bully me again? To retaliate or something, Lassimus hesitated and answered, Civilian dorm. Aaron was surprised to hear that. Civilian dorm? Are you a farmer? Yes, I was admitted, thanks to the coach Vio, who promised to pay for my tuition, but suddenly the academy expelled him. In other words, no one here supports me. Yes, so there's a chance you might have to drop out. Hearing Seon say that, Aaron turned to look at Lassimus with a sympathetic and pitiful gaze. You're too unfortunate right now. Seon suggested that. Why don't you make her your servant princess? You can also learn swordsmanship from her. Aaron pointed at Lassimus with a confused expression and said, What are you talking about? Lassimus is a boy or a girl, Seon corrected. While Aaron was still shocked, Lassimus awkwardly explained, I didn't mean to deceive you, princess. It's just that I cut my hair short and wear boys' clothes because it's more comfortable. So many people mistake me for a boy. No, sister, sorry, you didn't even recognize me. Even Seon recognized me, so you must not look very feminine. Lassimus hurriedly waved his hand. No, I should be the one apologizing. Anyway, how do you feel? I think Seon's idea is good. If you come under my command, the bad guys won't bully you anymore. You can learn anything you want and live comfortably. Lassimus bowed his head for a moment, then couldn't help but ask, Why me? Actually, I don't like being alone much either. I can't just do nothing. Because after all, I am a princess. Lassimus' boss was deeply grateful and swore, Thank you, sister. I promise I will become someone who can bring honor to you. Thank you very much. No need to thank me. It's all thanks to Saiyan. Speaking of which, Aaron turned around and suddenly realized Saiyan had slipped away like an eel from the restaurant without her noticing. Saiyan smiled slyly as he stepped outside the school grounds thinking he had done enough. I'm sure Princess Aaron will take care of the rest, but now I understand why. Lassimus has left the U-ship empire already. If it weren't for Bear's Luis Min back then, she would never have lost mana. The continent's top swordsman who had never lost mana, even I would have a hard time defeating her. Anyway, now I'm interested in something else. This morning, I received an order from Master Sirica. This is my first assassination mission as a Fog Organization assassin. The first mission is a bit difficult. That's what Saiyan thought after reading the mission info, recalling her gentle smile and words. He believed in Sirica's potential. In his heart, he was unhappy. No way. If she's already trying to boss me around like this, I'm afraid things will get more troublesome in the future. With a loud crash, the wall in front shattered. Emerging from the mist was the image of a tall, muscular young man making Saiyan somewhat cautious. Could it be a demon beast in the academy? Are you Saiyan Vert? The burly young man asked. Huh, you know me? Of course. You possess 1-star magic and S-rank physique, the youngest son of the Vert family. Saiyan Vert smiled arrogantly and introduced himself. I am Sessa Hawken. A new student like you, Saiyan doubted after hearing that. A giant like that is a new student. How can that be? In my previous life, was there any student like this? The boss flexed his six-pack abs and said, I've heard a lot about your achievements. You defeated demon beasts and even survived a dragon attack, right? Moreover, you have S-rank physique, which even I can't achieve. Fight me! Saiyan looked at the young man with fiery, passionate eyes, then silently thought, I remember now. The mark on his chest is the symbol of Spanya. So the rumor that the Sand Prince came to the academy is true. Spanya is a country established in the desert, located east of the continent thanks to a strong military force under the leadership of the Crown Prince, who has innate talent in magic and combat. Even the U-ship empire struggles to invade this country. But the great power that once took pride in its strong unity quickly declined and ultimately perished due to the sudden departure of the Crown Prince. The sole heir was believed to have died from illness caused by the cold because the Crown Prince valued physical training too much, to the extent that he neglected his own health, unexpectedly meeting the Prince of the Desert Land, Sahakan. Seeing Saiyan silently staring at him, Set showed impatience and said, Decide quickly. This encounter didn't happen in my previous life. It's really troublesome. But according to what I know, he is thinking about this. Saiyan immediately replied, Now, that's right. We will decide who is stronger between you and me. I won't accept your refusal because I know you share the same thought as I do. The unexpected answer made Set's face freeze as he asked, Why fighting is prohibited in the academy without permission? You must submit an official request to the management office. All right, where is the management office? On the 3rd floor of the main building. Got it, I'll be back soon. Just wait there. Saiyan then turned and ran straight in the direction he indicated, having heard that even his brain was all muscle. It seems the rumor is true. The management office is in the opposite direction, although it's unclear if there really is such a thing as a dual request. But probably I won't see him again for now. First, let's focus on the assassination mission. Thinking about this, Saiyan hurriedly left the academy and went to the secret basement of Zekrom Anbas, the target of this assassination. Zekrom Anbas is one of the 3 richest people on the continent. In the eyes of the public, he is a righteous and benevolent man, but behind that mask, he is a scoundrel owning a slave market and trading in humanoid beasts. Sir Jikeman, we have prepared the product. A soldier reported to Jikeman, who then shouted loudly, Then don't just stand there, quickly deliver it to the customer. Today, I will exhibit my greatest masterpiece. You all must pay close attention to it. The subordinates obeyed the order and immediately took action. Xian stood in a dark corner observing the situation, thinking to himself that he would finish much earlier than expected. Hearing Karam Saiyan's voice, he curiously asked, What's going on? I sense a very complicated energy. That target of yours is hiding something. Strange indeed. Jacoma looked inside a prison cell and then chuckled. Finally it obeyed. Rest in peace, my golden egg-laying hen. At that moment, Jacoma saw a black mist flying over. Before he could understand what was happening, he saw a subordinate next to him beheaded. The scar-faced man immediately drew his sword, pointing towards the dark corner. After regaining composure, he shouted in a condescending tone, What are you doing? Catch that one quickly. Speak properly to match the money I paid. Stop hiding and show yourself. As soon as the scar-faced man finished speaking, a shadow rushed forward. Wherever the shadow went, guards disappeared. Only the scar-faced man reacted quickly enough to block one strike, but was then knocked away, losing the sword in his hand. Saiyan then cut the tendons in his leg and moved behind him. Pressing the sword to his neck, a swift slash sent him to meet his ancestors. Ancestor Jicomon didn't know that all his subordinates had been dealt with by Saiyan, so he still shouted loudly, "Where did the rest of you disappear to?" "You will soon find out because you're about to join them." Saiyan sneered. "You hired so many soldiers, but they're useless." Jikman then grasped the situation, looked at Saiyan, and slowly approached, making him fearfully fall down. Crawling backward while trying to negotiate, "What do you want money? If it's money, I have plenty." Suddenly, Zekerman's arm was chopped off, causing him to scream in pain. Zekerman Albus conducted countless inhumane experiments and crossbreeding among many races. He even owned a slave market, which is strictly prohibited by law. That's enough reason for him to pay with his life. With his life? Do you think so? Now I'll give you 1 minute to repent for the crimes you've committed. Then the pain will disappear. "So you intended to kill me?" Jicomon said while crying and making excuses. "I did all this just to make a living. Don't you see that I trade these products and slaves because there is demand, so there must be supply? The ones who bought them are the real bad mouths. What did he do wrong?" "Yeah, a bastard like you will never know what repentance is," Saiyan coldly replied after a minute. "I will send you off in the most painful way," Saiyan said, then used the 8th deadly technique, Chaotic Strike, slicing Jickerman into pieces. After finishing, he breathed a sigh of relief. Then he started to walk around Jickerman's secret basement, stopping in front of a prison door, and turned to ask Karam, "Is this the place?" "Yes, it is. I can feel the combination of 2 energy flows." Saiyan swung his sword, cutting off the iron bars, and entered the prison, then was surprised by the scene before him. A girl. She no longer moves right. Isn't she already dead? She's just a human. "Oh, there's nothing else to see here," Karam immediately objected. "No, look at what she's holding in her arms. That's a dragon egg." A few hours later at Saiyan's dormitory, Brian looked at the dragon egg on the table with a confused expression and asked, "Where did you get this?" "I picked it up on the way here." Of course, Brian's skeptical eyes immediately responded, "Who would pick up something like this?" "I'm telling the truth, I picked it up while walking," Saiyan answered without embarrassment. A dragon egg. Unexpectedly, he wanted to sell something so dangerous. "Is he planning to move it somewhere else?" While Saiyan was thinking, Brian anxiously asked, "What if it hatches?" "That won't happen, so you don't need to worry. Each dragon is a mana core created from a different element. Even if you continuously infuse mana of the same element into it, it doesn't guarantee the egg will hatch. So in most cases, a dragon egg without its mother is just like a stone that won't hatch." Unexpectedly, as soon as he said that, the eggshell cracked open, and a little girl with 2 small, cute horns on her head was born. "What should we do now?" Ryan panicked and shouted, and Saiyan also didn't know how to handle it. "This is neither a dragon nor a human. Could this be a Longnan, a hybrid between dragon and human? Turns out it's more complicated than I thought." Many dragon kids at this moment. Her eyes shone brightly as she rushed to hug Saiyan tightly, calling him Papa. "Does she see me as her parent?" While Saiyan was still culturally shocked, he heard a delighted laugh not far away. "Papa, at only 11 years old, you're already a father." Karam laughed sarcastically, mocking Saiyan. Seeing her cheerful expression, Saiyan couldn't help but feel dissatisfied and silently blamed her. "It was all your fault, Karam. The story was a few hours earlier." At that time, Saiyan was hesitating about what to do with the egg. Then Karam beside him gave a suggestion. "Why don't we just take it with us? If this thing falls into the hands of ordinary people, it would be dangerous." That made sense. "It probably can't hatch on its own right." Karam smiled. "I guarantee I've never seen a dragon hatch without its mother. This thing is nothing but a dangerous rock." Believing that Saiyan brought the egg home, and as a result, the dragon kid was born. Karam now shrugged off all responsibility and said, "Living long really means witnessing many strange things." "You just said you've never seen it." "That's why I said living long means witnessing many strange things." Karam replied sheepishly, then beat the drum and asked, "But what if this hybrid between human and dragon is actually a danger?" Saiyan was silent, his mind tangled like a web. Half human, half beast, and moreover a Longnan born from human and dragon. This world is too dangerous for such a creature to exist. If discovered at the academy, the principal would immediately worry about external threats and try to eliminate it. Purebred dragons, upon learning about this child's existence, would seek to destroy everyone who knows about it, a dangerous threat. Do I really have to bear this burden? After all, its fate is to live in misery. It might be better to end it now. seeing Saiyan's intention through his slow movement reaching toward the Dragon Kid's neck. Karam smiled and asked, "So you finally decided?" Karam smiled and asked, "So you finally decided, huh?" Thinking back, maybe doing that would be better for him, right? If he has to live in unhappiness, then it's better to end it now. Just as Saiyan was about to act suddenly, the little dragon slowly opened his eyes, sleepy and drowsy. When he saw Saiyan, he opened them wide, happily rushed over, hugged him, and kept calling Daddy. A warm, indescribable feeling surged in Saiyan's heart. It softened him. He picked up the little dragon and made a decision. It will be okay. Just raise him. Karam weakly responded. Are you planning to raise it to command it? Bored, the scene shifted to another event at the first Margaret Ernest Duke family castle. After the failed assassination of Saiyan, he lost his appetite. Unable to sleep peacefully, she feared that if Saiyan was left like that sooner or later, her child would be in danger. While she was anxiously pacing in the great hall, she heard a call. Startled, she looked worried. "Mom, if something is difficult, just tell me." "Thank you, Margaret," she replied, then quickly excused herself and left. Archer smiled and waved goodbye, but when Margaret was no longer in sight, he withdrew his smile and coldly said, "Report Keelan. The 6 bodies of the knights from the territory have been found in the Aeoli at mountains. The remaining person is confirmed to have been with young Master Ut and Lewin. The mastermind, as you predicted, is none other than Duchess Margaret. Anything else?" After hearing the news that he was assigned to the royal area of the academy, somehow all the spies disappeared. Everything was already known. "In short, you couldn't investigate anything about my younger brother." Seeing Archer's expression and wicked smile made Kalen tremble, thinking he had disappointed him. "I don't keep incompetent people around me." Remembering that phrase from Archer, Kalen silently resolved, "You have climbed to this position. You cannot fail like this. I cannot just fail like this. I will personally go. Trust me, I absolutely will not disappoint you." Afro's face finally relaxed as he patted Kalen's shoulder. "I know your enthusiasm, Kalen. All right, let's start immediately. Surely my younger brother is hiding something." "Investigate thoroughly." "Yes, sir." The next day, Sirika hurried to meet Saiyan. Upon seeing her face, Saiyan showed displeasure and asked, "It's not a school day, why are you here?" Sharika was astonished to see Saiyan feeding milk to a baby. "Why is there a baby in the dormitory?" Saiyan sighed. "The explanation is long. Just tell me your purpose straight." "Let's put that aside for now. There's something more urgent. You've caused a big problem, student Saiyan." Sirika took out a piece of paper and held it up in front of him. "This is a challenge letter." "What are you thinking?" Not even fully rested and already trying to get attention going crazy, Saiyan started feeling a headache from that guy named Set. Dare to send a challenge letter? "Why are you panicking? Kids fighting at 11 years old is nothing to watch," Karam said with a hateful expression. "That 11-year-old is not an ordinary student." Saiyan silently responded, then asked Sharika, "So when is the fight in 2 hours?" 2 hours later, Saiyan was sent to the arena looking smug as he greeted the audience. Then he said to Saiyan, "I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. I bet you have too right." Without waiting for Saiyan's reply, he continued. "At first I wanted to fight martial arts, but here there's only sword fighting and magic dueling. Are you going to use magic?" Saiyan showed no interest and replied, "If you don't use it, I won't either. I like it that way. Then let me see your swordsmanship." Without further words, Set quickly jumped high and swung his sword down quite fast for his body size. But an attack focusing only on strength like that is easy to counter. "To deal with someone like you need subtlety and sharpness, not strength." Saiyan silently assessed, then gently drew his sword and continuously countered all of Set's sword strikes. "Not that easy," Set said irritably, then added strength to swing a direct strike, but it was still blocked by Saiyan's thin sword. He combined the downward force with a spin. "Still, you can't use that tiny sword to block my sword." Set thought, changing his attack direction and using extreme speed to slip behind Saiyan. Before he could do anything, Saiyan had already sheathed his sword, accurately lunged to where Set was standing, grabbed his leg, and knocked him to the floor, making Set suspicious. He wondered if Saiyan had eyes on the back of his head. But very quickly, just as the handsome-faced boy was about to kiss the floor, Set used both hands to push off the ground, took one leg as a pivot, then spun and kicked Saiyan. Saiyan dodged backward like a ghost, eyes full of interest, watching Set. In such a short time, he had already counterattacked. How can someone so big be so agile? Even the students watching the match in the stands right now had to gape in amazement at the display of the recent lightning-fast moves. Is he really human lightning on the battlefield? After a moment of silence, burst out laughing. When it comes to swordsmanship, I've already lost Saiyan Vert. If things have come to this, then I have to use any means to win. I will use all my strength, he said, throwing the sword in his hand away and then starting to unleash his power. Xian responded inwardly, sighing. What a troublesome person somewhere else, the principal stood observing from afar, noticing Lightning's intention, and nodded, saying, so now they intend to use magic to duel. Indeed, these kids are bold. Unexpectedly, at first, they only use swordsmanship to fight, and then they only use magic afterward, Sharika, standing nearby, commented. It seems that during the swordsmanship duel, Saiyan had the upper hand over him. Principal, I think so too, Sharika replied. The principal inwardly thought Lightning Sahakan's physique is grade A, while Sainvert's physique is grade S, considering their physical levels. This result is understandable. However, a person's physique is only the basic condition for using magic at higher levels. Lightning's magic level is 3 stars, the highest among the new students. While the principal was analyzing inwardly, Sharika appeared calm on the outside but was furious inside. So what will you do now? Why don't you just announce to the whole world that you want attention, Saiyan said. You should also fight with all your might. Saiyan vs. Lightning's whole body was enveloped in golden light. The earth and rocks around him were dug up and gradually formed into a giant fist following Lightning's swinging arm movement. The fist headed straight towards Saiyan's position. Death Fist, so now he intends to use magic. Thinking that Saiyan jumped to the side to dodge Lightning's attack. Don't even dream of escaping. Lightning said, creating a sand vortex with tremendous power chasing Saiyan. Seeing Saiyan refusing to counterattack and only using escape tactics, Lightning got furious and immediately used the Desert Claw technique. Forming a claw that surrounded Saiyan, then the claw quickly slammed down, shattering the arena floor where Saiyan stood in an instant. Creating a deep hole, Xian didn't know when he had escaped outside. In his heart, he now understood the general abilities of his opponent, Sessahokan. His magic level is 3 stars, but at this rate, won't he be able to use 4-star magic? He glanced toward the mages outside the shield. The lecturers maintaining the shield might face difficulties here. Saiyan's refusal to fight properly made the boss dissatisfied and scolded. How long do you intend to run away like a rat? Saiyan retorted, do you want me to stand still and take the hits? If you're a warrior, you shouldn't avoid my attacks, Brat Sean said with a bored expression. Do you know that both of us are just brats? Shut up! Lightning roared angrily, then gathered energy to use a 4-star magic technique called Sabao, creating a giant sand vortex charging straight at Saiyan. This attack is not easy to dodge. Saiyan stopped running and smiled. I can block it. This time I will block the attack head-on. Meanwhile, in the dormitory, Brian happily called the little dragon after finishing mixing milk. Unexpectedly, upon seeing the little girl, he felt dizzy. Seeing the baby, who was just born a few hours ago but now was as big as a 3-year-old child. Returning to the main scene, the 4-star magic sand vortex created by Lightning had already covered the entire arena, making all the students watching unable to see what was happening inside. Meanwhile, the lecturers maintaining the shield had to strain themselves to keep the barrier from breaking. A crack began to appear on the shield, causing a lecturer to panic and order, the protective shield is collapsing, quickly reinforce it. What kind of students are these two? The lecturer maintaining the shield gritted his teeth, unable to hold back. To be honest, the situation has become very dangerous. What is the principal doing? Principal, we must stop this duel immediately. At Sharika's request, the principal calmly replied, just wait a little longer. Something is happening. Seeing Saiyan activating the secret technique Void Sphere, Sharika couldn't help but worry and thought, no, this can't be. Mao stopped. Of course, Saiyan did not hear Sharika's inner voice and continued to use a secret technique to create a giant mana sphere that sucked all the lightning vortices inside. The more I observe Saiyan, the more amazed I am. Ho ho! While the principal seemed pleased with Saiyan's performance, Sharika was silently blaming him. Why did you use that move here? On the sandy arena, the lightning vortex was swallowed by Saiyan's mana sphere. Then people only saw Saiyan clench his fist, immediately causing the sphere to shrink gradually and then disappear. The audience began to buzz. His magic disappeared instantly. That black sphere was a spell, right? I have never heard of such magic before. After all, what is he? Are you going to continue fighting? Saiyan asked the person who was now gaping in astonishment at what had just happened. After a while, he seemed drained of energy, knelt down looking disappointed, and said, no, I have lost. I didn't expect to be the loser. Both swordsmanship and magic I completely lost. I feel really discouraged. I feel a bit sorry for him. I might have broken his trust a bit too much. Just as Saiyan felt guilty, Lightning suddenly punched the ground hard, looking excited and laughing loudly, saying, very good, I am tired of defeating weak opponents. My desire to train is rising. Saying this, Lightning stood up and extended his hand towards Saiyan. I don't know when it will be, but I am sure I will challenge you again. Until then, will you accept my challenge? Saiyan reached out his hand to respond to Lightning's handshake, then bluntly replied, no, I refuse. The match is over. Saiyan returned to the dormitory. He knew dragons matured faster than humans, but already the girl looked like a 6-year-old child. The growth rate of the dragon was quite fast, too. At this rate, won't the girl quickly grow as big as me? Brian scratched his head and said to Saiyan, who was stunned looking at the little dragon about this. While I wasn't paying attention, the girl has grown a lot. If she grows at this speed, it will be hard to secretly raise her here, right? Saiyan asked casually. Then suddenly someone answered, you can't hide it forever, right, Saiyan? Saiyan turned his head to look at the newcomer and said, Sharika, I have forgiven your demon sword already. But I find it hard to forgive this dragon, especially when you pull crazy tricks like today. What exactly are you thinking? After Saiyan briefly explained the little dragon's background to Sharika, Sharika looked at the girl once and said she is developing incredibly fast, just a moment away, and she has grown this much. You have to take responsibility for what you brought back during the mission, but something like this is hard to hide. Brian will take care of the girl in the dormitory. A barrier has been set up, so the presence of Karam and the girl will be fine as long as you don't cause trouble. Sharika interrupted Saiyan and handed him a letter. Saiyan read the content inside, then forced a smile and said this. The victory prize for this match is a bit disappointing. Sharika shrugged, showing indifference before leaving, not forgetting to remind him to be careful during this time. Drawing too much attention will bring no good. Sharika left. Brian curiously asked young master, what is this? Ah, a warning letter. It says we will be expelled for improper behavior. Expelled, Brian worriedly exclaimed as the little dragon ran wildly around the house. Hearing that, he anxiously asked, what should we do? Dad, will we live on the street corner? Where did she learn that word? Does the kid even understand its meaning? But the girl is growing too fast, Saiyan thought while patting the little dragon's head to reassure her. Not yet, kid, don't worry. Are you sure it will be okay? If we return to Valius, I won't worry. I will file a complaint. Saiyan looked at the last line of the letter and reasoned it didn't come from the administrative office. The principal sent the letter himself. That means he wants to talk to me privately. Remembering the previous life when Saiyan said he wanted to join the Light Knight Corps, the principal said, finally you decided to dedicate your whole life to your brother, yes. Saiyan firmly replied, that path doesn't seem suitable for me. Saiyan immediately threw a cold glance at the principal. Haha, I'm sure you know that. Let me give you some advice. Choosing this path will bring nothing good even if you have to face challenges or cruel fate. I won't receive anything in return, just like living as someone else's puppet no matter the outcome. In the end, I will just blame my older brother. That's what he said to me in my past life. I wonder what he will say to me this time. Just as Saiyan was lost in thought, Brian hesitantly said, Young master, shouldn't we give the girl a name? A name, of course, we can't keep calling her kid forever. Almost immediately, Saiyan replied, Nana, how about that? You haven't even thought it through yet. While Brian was still stunned, the little dragon excitedly shouted, Great Nana is still Nana spelled backwards. I'll be Nana. Then happily ran around Saiyan's feet. How does this kid know her own family name? While Xian was still wondering, Brian beside him covered his face and cried loudly, It's over! The girl will just get bullied by the other kids. That night, at the Royal Academy principal's office, while approving documents, the principal suddenly recalled Saiyan's match and thought, I know that kid has great potential. But to be able to absorb 4-star magic with a 1-star dark orb, that kid is terrifyingly talented, but it seems he isn't struggling that much. I want to know Saiyan's limits.